the government has changed its social housing contribution rate. So instead of 25% of income, tenants will have to contribute 30% of their income. Chris Hipkins said the changes were cruel and will drive people further into poverty. So will Labor restore the previous settings?
Well, these changes don't come into effect until the 1st of July. So the best way to stop them coming into effect is to change the government. Chris Hipkins is absolutely right. It is cruel, but it's also illogical. The government's rationale, if you listen to Chris Bishop, is in his view, he's claimed that 29% of people in social housing can afford market rents. So his solution to that is to put the rent up for everybody. Now we're talking about tens of thousands of elderly, solo parents, disabled people who are on fixed incomes, who many of whom can't work or are too old to work because they're retired. They don't have $30 a week to spend now, let alone face an increase in rents.
Right, so you won't be changing those settings if you win this election?
If we're in government, we will not be fulfilling those on the 1st of July next year, absolutely not.
That is Labor's campaign chair and housing spokesperson, Kieran McAnulty.
Kill me, dude.
Alfred Ngaro was a National MP for 3 terms. He served as a minister in the last national government, but in 2026 he's seeking a return to Parliament with New Zealand First. Tēnā koe, good morning.
Oh, kia ora.
So why do you want to return to Parliament?
Well, it's an honour and a privilege, really. Served for 9 years, came out for 5, but also I know what my purpose and my plan is. My God-given gift is to be able to serve in a position of governance, to serve a nation and its people.
Why New Zealand First?
Well, New Zealand First is the best opportunity. It's a party that's proven itself to be influential, stands for the values that I stand for: sovereignty of a nation and its decisions, patriotism, love the people, and at the same time common sense, social conservative values. You know, they're all the things that I think it's important. So New Zealand First, you know, I'm honoured that they've offered me this opportunity, so I'm just here to serve.
Why New Zealand First and not national?
Well, the thing about being with a big party, look, I'm grateful. 9 years I had a chance to do my apprenticeship, served, became a cabinet minister, but things begin to shift. And one of the things about a bigger party is that sometimes they use this phrase, we're a broad church. In other words, we want to go out and reach to as many people. I believe that's starting to shift in politics, because when you do that, when you try to be all things to all people, you tend to at times compromise on the big issues. People, I believe, are shifting in the country. They want to come back to the centre. They want to know what people mean, say what's important to them. So, yeah, that's why I believe New Zealand First captures those values.
Can you give me an example of how the major parties, or national in particular, have compromised on the big issues in your view?
Well, let's take a really simple thing. So 4 weeks ago, Parliament's debating what is a woman, right? People say, what?
Bruh. Are we really talking about trans issues, dude? Who gives a fuck?
Why would you do that? Well, why should we? The culture has changed and it's shifted. But New Zealand First was the only one that's willing to be able to hear what the people are saying. Take what is maybe small in the eyes of other people, but what is important is that actually it's protecting the rights of women, the safety for where they are. That's what's important.
Remember, the way you protect the rights of women is not by, doing broad encompassing legislation, doing societal change, trying to do any educational programs. It's by defining what a woman is and starting hate campaigns against trans people. That's how we protect women. Fuck. Just like, fuck, kill me, dude.
And so that's what's important to us. While they're trying to stick to the big issues, New Zealand First is not only looking at the small things, but the big things that are important for us as well. And that value is resonating very strongly, with the community.
So to take that specific example, you think that National's position on that subject is trying to be palatable to too many people?
Well, you listen to some of the speeches that came out, the Minister of Women, when she came out and she was speaking. It didn't exactly give a strong sense of confidence that here you are the Minister for Women backing women, right? That's what I think is really clear, where New Zealand First is really clear. Jeannie Marcroft, when she put this bill out there. And again, it's only one.
Oh, we got a bot. Banned. Out of here, bitch.
Example of many things. Look, there are bigger issues that are important. And
it sucks too, because the pay equity scheme, which basically made a fund to like distribute money depending on like pay inequity and like whatever, like if women were working a certain job that men do, and National abolished it and first agreed with that. So like whatever this is saying, like he does not believe in like protecting women or whatever. It's just about girl cock. Okay, this whole conversation is about girl cock. This entire conversation.
People are saying it's the common sense that's been missing, and now we just feel like we've got nonsense happening in Parliament.
So just to remind.
Best vacation in Russia, Crimea. Okay, all right, perfect. I don't think Crimea is a good destination spot since Ukraine has decided to shut that shit down.
Remind everyone of the last few years. You were with National for 3 terms. You were a National Minister. Then you formed New Zealand, a separate party. In 2023, you said that you spoke with New Zealand First, but you said you wouldn't be joining New Zealand First at that stage. You had already started New Zealand. So what changed between 2023 and now?
Yeah, look, I mean, we got 16,109 votes. Not that I was counting, but it's amazing that what it was is that we all came out of COVID.
Yeah.
I remember, yeah, the shrapnel showers wouldn't be the best for tourism. Yeah. Base. Yeah. Like I've been surprised at what Ukraine's been able to do. Honestly, like if you would have asked me like a year ago that they were able to do like long range drone campaigns into Moscow and like east of that and like shutting down Crimea, I would have just like not believed you. But yeah, the shit they've been doing is crazy now.
People lost trust in the institutions of media, of politics. Everyone was looking for going back to some values that people believed in. So putting that out for New Zealand was actually putting a stake in the ground.
Also, like, remember, I don't know if you were here, Media, but like, him talking about protecting women or whatever. It's not about protecting women. Like this party ends at first, alongside National, destroyed the pay equity scheme, a scheme specifically made to like rebalance the pay between men and women. All these people are interested in is girl cock and like trans issues. As long as you can bring up some sort of like hating of trans people, they'll be down with anything.
But having the values are important. But if you don't have the opportunity to influence those values into Parliament and into politics, then you're missing the point. So to me, we had people giving us confidence, but not enough to get us over the threshold.
Right.
And so
I actually kind of expected it. Just what happened in war with New Tech. Oh, and I know about the pay equity scheme. I think Canning was like it's stupid as fuck. And like what I'm trying to bring up, even if you had an actual disagreement and there was like some way of like be like, okay, no, this is stupid as fuck. We should like reform it or whatever. He's outwardly said, like earlier in this video, obviously, that we want to protect women. It's about protecting women. They just care about girl cock. That's the entire fucking discussion. That's the entire. They just hate trans people. That is how they project respect for women. Apparently.
I believe that was important with this opportunity. We align very much with New Zealand First values, with the leader Winston Peters as well. So that's
also on a broader thing. Like Winston Peters is truly like he gets my respect because of this. The fact that he's been a guy who's institutionalized himself in New Zealand politics, and he is the definition of a career politician, the fact that he's done this, and has convinced his voter base that career politicians are cancer, and they still vote for the guy, I don't know how he does it. That is like a level of gaslighting I hope to achieve one day. Because holy, that's a skill set right there, to be that much of a cockroach.
Change.
Yeah, it's just pragmatism at the end of the day, right? You want to be in Parliament. Yeah,
it's realism too.
Yeah, okay. So if it's strategic realism, but you had formed New Zealand on what was fundamentally, a policy based on conviction.
Correct.
What's the point in being a conviction politician and forming a whole political party based on that conviction if you then give it up because you don't think you'll win?
Yeah, but the convictions don't change. The values haven't changed.
What changed is that he had his own party. But then he was actually given an opportunity for power, and he cut that because he has no real standing on his own values. Because obviously his party may have had some disagreements with NZ First, but since he was given a position of power, he flipped like that.
And you would have heard both Winston Peters and Shane Jones talk about those convictions. Look, I was told by someone in the media when I was in Parliament, he said, "Oh, we call you a conviction politician." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" "Well, you stand up for what you believe in." I thought, isn't that what we're all meant to be about? And so those convictions haven't changed, my values haven't changed, and I feel very comfortable and confident that I can still retain those values where I am with New Zealand First.
Do you think that New Zealand First has changed?
I believe the fact is that we all change, but I believe where it is now is being very clear about what those values are. I mean, you think about the different political parties. who puts out as one of the
Shane Jones conviction changes depending on the day. I'm going to be real with you. I think I think I know why Shane Jones ended up blowing his budget when he went to that mining conference. I have a very, very strong theory. Okay, so he went to that mining conference with that original 30K, and the reason why it blew up to 60K is because they had to spend on occult materials to make a ritual to sacrifice his soul to give Winston Peters more political clout. That's because like ever since he's come back from that, I swear every interview I see, hey Simon, how's it going? Every interview I see, I swear it just sounds like the most like monotone shit ever. The man has no life left in his body.
their key values: common sense, patriotism, nationalist. You don't see that in any other party. Social conservative values. So it's made it clear. It has to change to make those values clearer than what it has been.
Well, sacrificing youth, I was wondering how they... Yeah, like, dude, that's the only fucking way. They not only fuck over young people with their policy, they also fuck them over by sacrificing them to Satan.
So you studied theology, you served as a community pastor. New Zealand is one of the most secular countries in the world. So what don't non-religious people understand about politics in religious communities?
Well, let's be reminded that the fact is that the Christian faith and Judeo-Christian principles.
I'm gonna kill my. I'm gonna do that. If I hear the word Judeo-Christian in my country, like keep it in America, please. I don't like. Look, I love Protestantism and what it did to like the West because it brought like literacy and it brought like a more like less theocratically like despotism politically to like the West and shit. But like if you want to talk about Christ, brother. Like the Catholics have a fat W on that. Basically, New Zealand first is the party of misfits to who can't be in the previous parties. Yeah, no, it's literally just like New Zealand MAGA. Like everything you like, if you take any position MAGA has, you just copy paste it to NZ first and just add the word instead of America, New Zealand. That's it. Like there's literally no divergence. I guarantee you that.
Have shaped many democracies around the world and even New Zealand. You think about things like the Magna Carta. You think about Westminster governors that we have. Where do they come from? Judeo-Christian principles, the rule of law, equity of opportunity for all people.
NZ MAGA already screwed all their friends over. Yeah, definitely. Like, remember, like, Winnie is just a political opportunist. He just needs power. He wants to stay in power. That's it. Like, I brought this up in other streams, but like, it should never be the case that my grandfather, my father, and I all know the same politician in government. That shit's cancer. Yeah. The ancient Greeks practiced Judeo-Christian values where they were into their weird form of democracy. Yeah, like it's stupid. Like there is an argument to be had about the whole like Abrahamic faiths and how they like establish like what the West is, but like the phrase Judeo-Christian just brings so much baggage that I just do not want to have to deal with it.
Shaped. The very first debate in Parliament in 1854 for New Zealand was not about sheep, economics, or education. It was
everyone knows to never leave an open email account. Everyone's they're untrue.
It's about prayer. That parliamentary prayer reminded people putting all personal and private interests aside. In other words, when you come into Parliament, you're there to serve the nation and its people. It talks about conducting the affairs of this health, so the peace, the welfare, and the prosperity of a nation. That's your focus. That's your guide. You honor.
Also, remember, like he's like again, you have to like humiliate these people, right? Like he's talking about, you have to like serve the people. New Zealand is based off a principle and a treaty between the Māori and the Crown. The Māori are a significant part of the nation, and you've got to look after their own interests. Their leader, Winston Peters, calls people in Māori who advocate for Māori rights radical Māoris, claiming that they should not be talking about their rights or what they've been given by the Crown because it's cringe and it's stupid. It's not. It's a fundamental part of our country, what makes us Aotearoa. Yeah, but like, again, these people don't really believe what they say. I thought Governor George Gary kept this Christian stuff out of government. We really need to bring it back. True, Simon, true.
The Crown, because we're a constitutional monarchy. So you have to realise that, let's think about the Treaty of Waitangi. When Henry Williams was there translating from Māori to English, English to Māori, he introduced a word called kawanata, which means covenant. So if we look at it not as a legal document, but as a covenant document, it begins to change the way that we are. Where did those values come from?
Yeah, Gray wrote a lot about not wanting to put his religion into the treaty. Yeah. Because it's just like religion is something that's supposed to be personal. Okay, it should never be like, again, there's a whole reason why we have state and church, right? I thought Governor Gary.
Judeo-Christian principles. So it's not the inverse of saying how do we influence? They've already been influenced. It's the foundation of a country. The freedoms that you and I appreciate and enjoy come from those values that are really important. But the values are not there to convert you into a faith. They're there to allow you and I to live in a society where we can have the freedom of speech, where we can enjoy the importance of family, that marriage.
By the way, it's like, again, I don't know why he didn't bring it up, but this is very key. Freedom of speech and freedom of religion. Freedom of religion means you get to choose what religion you are. It's not like, I'm free to impose my religious values on you. That's not what that means.
Marriages matter. Social responsibility, those things are really important. Those don't die. They're not old and traditional. They're tried and tested values that are important to this nation. And those are the values that New Zealand First stands on.
Do you believe in the separation of church and state?
I believe there is a separation, but here's the thing that I want to say to you. Where did that comment come from? It came from Thomas Jefferson, and it was a time in which people felt that all of a sudden they were going to adopt them in, and he said there is a separation. But I believe that the church has a role to hold the moral compass of a nation.
Was this party threatening media agencies for running stories on things they were? Yeah, no, it is. I guess freedom of speech for everyone but the media, of if you're against their value. Definitely, it's what it is. It's a dogma. You have to understand, these populists, it's a big thing I talk about on my streams and stuff. Like, we're no longer fighting left and right stuff anymore. It's just populist versus anti-populist stuff. This shit is just so cringe. Like, I'm very curious when the last election, when St. Peters told the people who wrote that he did not support a ban on abortion, and I'm wondering, is he going to campaign against abortion now to attract the social conservatives? Yeah, it's just so cringe. And, like, everything about it is so stupid. Like, all these political points, by the way, maybe it's because I'm just too young or whatever, but like, I swear, like, people who are like conservative leaning maybe had their own like values on like religion and whatnot, but like these talking points now I'm getting from NZ First, it just feels like it's all copy pasted from the American evangelical movement. Like, these aren't original thoughts coming from Kiwis. The scary thing, it works. Yeah, like, it works because like people, like, again, fear and what's the other word? Yeah, like, fear is like a very strong emotion to use to get people to get politically engaged. And that's why it works. Because like like hope and like happiness and like analysis and like facts is not how you engage people in politics. How you do it is like by getting them afraid, by putting down like an out group and an in group. So like, for example, Greens will talk about billionaires and corporations and say that, and use the people as the in group, and NZ First will talk about the radical Modi and the radical left and talk about, like, proud Kiwis as the in group. It's just so cringe, dude. I had to catch up with a couple of mates from high school a few weeks ago when he got his hooks into one of my oldest mates, and guess what? Yeah, what over? 3 waters. Yeah, I remember in the 1996, the Christian Coalition nearly got into Parliament, 4.something% of the vote, and there is some vote if you can combine in New Zealand First, it would increase their vote. Yeah, but to talk to your point, Maori, like, I'm gonna be real with you, your friend, he's gone. Like, once you're down this like rabbit hole, it's the same with the red pill stuff. Once you get down that rabbit hole, I'm sorry, he's gone. Like, you're never getting him back. He's now complaining that Winston is the only one thinking about his rates. Yeah, not that because he's the man. Yeah, it's just so stupid. But yeah, like, that friend you have, he's gone, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Because once you get into that rabbit hole, there's no way to get out of it. Because once you start believing in certain narratives, like, no amount of facts will break you away from that different version of reality.
There was an article written recently in the Listener,
increase their vote, yeah,
and that was with David Farrer and David Talbot. They talked about 3 different things that affected the way we as Kiwis used to look at politicians and politics. One of them was the church, because it held the moral compass of a nation, and I believe that's why it's important.
Yeah, we're dude. I just would not listen to anyone else that Winston. Yeah, no, yeah. At least you pretty much got it. But yeah, once these people go down the populist like pipeline, dude, it's so hard to get them back. But like, again, he keeps talking about like, church and state and separation or whatever. The reason why like Jefferson kept talking about the different separation of church and state is because America was founded after the 30 Years' War, which was a brutal war in Europe that was between Protestants and Catholics. The same people, like they're all Christians, but they just like kind of like differentiated in like how the Bible was translated, and it caused, I would say, basically genocide throughout Europe. So the reason why like Jefferson was like, we need to separate religion out of politics, because that he did not want that dogma coming into governance of society, because in a society we all have different perspectives and all have different values and everything, you know. And what's supposed to be the common value is government, because we all come together to like represent and get representative democracy and people to represent us.
So, as minister, you were the you.
Be honest, Alfred isn't charismatic to leader. That's why his own party would never be successful. That's why he has to join. Yeah, no, I think I don't know if you were in stream when I said this, Simon, but yeah, like he had his own party and he jumped ship because someone offered him a position of power, and the whole Church of England thing that was in their parents. Yeah, with the Anglican Church and everything. Yeah, so like people forget the reason why, like, you know, especially in the West, church and state was a big thing people wanted to talk about. It's because like it was dividing and like fracturing Western nations. So like having to like get all these different like religious groups to come together and like just live in harmony was like a big thing. And even then, even after they did that in America, like the Mormons started doing like a lot of militant stuff in like Utah and stuff like that, even though religion and state were separate. So like, yeah, it's a fundamental value. People forget why it was founded. Like it was founded literally because there were religions that did not agree with each other and that did not share the same moral beliefs as other people in that country.
Spent a fair amount of time and energy arguing that Pacific communities needed targeted government attention. You increased Polyfest funding. You built a framework to promote Pacific perspectives within government. New Zealand First is campaigning to end what it calls special treatment of Māori in New Zealand. So how do you square your consistent beliefs and performance as a minister with where New Zealand stands on special treatment today?
Oh, very simple. Because I've always believed in, you know, there was a whāia called Rose Pere, who down in Turangawawi said this: I'm not just Māori for Māori. Tarina Turi.
Also, one thing I don't really like about this, held separate until 1970, and their government needed support for their really unpopular invasion. Yeah. But what's funny about this is that I really wish Jack would actually talk about specific policies and get him to defend them, because there's been some detrimental stuff NZ First has been in support of and has done to like against Māori and Pacifica people. So like I don't like, was the problem is if you're just talking like general speak, yeah, same, yeah, was if you're just talking general speak, he can then give this like narrative, oh, we want people to be equal or whatever, but like they're fucking you. But like, yeah, I wish he would have brought up like a specific policy point to like pin him down.
They said exactly the same thing. Whānau order was not just to say Māori, but for Māori. That sort of policy separates us. But here's where we can get to as a nation. Are we at a point where we say, we see the wonder of Māori, we see the wonder of Pacifica, their cultural capital. Can we add it to who we are as Kiwis? I believe that's where we need to evolve to. If we silo ourselves into small groups and say, that's just for Māori, that's for Pacifica, then we're missing the point as Kiwis. And so it's consistent with the position that New Zealand First is saying. Let's not just put us into little boxes. Let's say that, let's bring the best of who we are. That we see the best of who Māori, it's cultural capital for Pacifica. So I believe it's consistent.
So like, this is what I mean, by the way. It's like, this is like, what he just said, I would agree with, right? In a broad perspective. But the shit NZ First is advocated for and done is not this. You want everyone to provide it equally, but you cut media funding for Māori only by 75% in the last year. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, in the totality of what he just said, I would agree with. But NZ First actively advocates against what he actually is saying.
And that's the approach that's going to unite us as a country.
So where do you stand on the Māori seats?
Well, look, Māori seats, you know that in 1854, Māori couldn't vote, Pākehā couldn't vote, who didn't own land, neither could women. 18...
This is good. Jack actually finally brought up a policy point. So I'm guessing what he's going to say is because Māori couldn't vote, then the Māori seats need to be made. But now, since everybody could vote, you know, they should be abolished or whatever.
67, 4 arbitrary lines were drawn around the country and said, let's allow Māori to vote. There was only given a 5-year sort of gap to be able to then plan something that was fit for purpose. It was never done. When MMP came along, there was a Royal Commission. It turned around and said, well, what were the commitments of the Māori seats? And so, to me, what's important, you have to know your history, you have to know your heritage. What Winston and New Zealand First is saying, is it still fit for purpose? Let the nation choose. But at the moment, why are more Māori on the general role than rather on the Māori role? So there are questions that have to be asked on both sides. It's having a robust intellectual conversation. That's what's going to unite us as a nation.
Also, another thing, again, uh, if I was to do an argument for him originally, they had a gold mining seats as well, and they well, to be fair, like at the time they were established, it was like a very specific thing because we're so many like concentrated populations around these towns. But like when you talk about the Maori seats and the general role and the Maori role, I think they're a very good thing because, as I said, like New Zealand is a very special country in the sense that the country itself is founded on a special relationship between Maori and the crown. Okay, so I think having the Maori role and the general role is a good thing in the sense that if Maori flock to the Maori role, it pretty much shows that they've started to lose hope in the government. Because if they're flocking to the Maori role, it's kind of like a way of them showing dissatisfaction with what the current government is doing. At least how I interpret it. But if, a lot of Maori go into the general role, that means the government is dealing with Pacifica issues and Maori issues very well. Because it restricts our vote. That's the only reason there's more of us in the general. Yeah, no, I agree on that, Maori media. Back in the day when not all white New Zealanders could vote because they didn't own property compared to a lot of Maori who actually had property rights through collective ownership. Yeah, but from what I understand, because I read a little bit on the Maori electorates and how they worked, I'm pretty sure it was like because the communal land was actually counted as land. Like you need to have like £10 worth or something, a worth of land. But if it was communal, it didn't count. You could not be evaluated, so they had to like split up plots and stuff like that and get them under individual ownership, which kind of capped communal voting blocks.
Not just to let the same old happen.
Your leader warns against immigration, quote, changing the landscape and culture of our country. Do you agree?
Oh, well, look.
Yeah, because it was communal. You didn't get. Yeah, exactly. Actually, hey, look, research pays off.
The thing is that immigration is important. We're a land of migrants and pioneers who've come here. So it's not. He's not talking about being against immigration, but it's a fact is that we need to be careful that we don't just open the borders and allow people to come in without being conscious and careful, measuring and monitoring.
By the way, the one of the big things NZ First is bitching about right now is the immigration stuff under the India Free Trade Agreement stuff. Winston Peters, when he was as a rat, he was in the Labour government when he coalitioned with them. He signed off on that immigration deal that's used as a framework on the India FTA. So what they're bitching about is what Winnie implemented when he was in the Labour government. We are not going to have mass immigration like Europe. This is completely agree with you, Simon. But this is what I'm saying. Like, what's funny is that the framework of immigration that is in the India Free Trade Agreement was signed off by Winnie when he was in the Labour government.
How we do that.
So whose culture?
And part of the key, yeah. The guy's a cockroach, dude. I respect him to some degree because to do that and then to somehow gaslight your voter base saying how much you hate Labour and you're not a career it's truly respectable.
Changing it.
What do you mean? Whose culture?
Well, he says he warns that immigration is changing the landscape and culture of our country. So whose culture?
I think it's the culture. It's the culture of ideology.
Winnie has a lot of stuff that when he's again, yeah.
Not the culture of ethnicity.
Right.
There's a culture of.
I respect the game, respect the game, the player, not so much. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Modi. Yeah.
Ideology, and I remember that there was a time when the Greens and Labour would say, let's just open fetters to be able to let people for refugees. They didn't want to have a quota on the border. But here's the reality. They weren't the ones at the refugee centres seeing people who are coming in from war-torn nations. It was the trauma of war, the impact that it had socially, mentally, spiritually on people. And so to be able to cope and to be able to care for those people in their time, you have to be careful about that. Let's think about what's happened in other countries.
So hang on, we shouldn't be letting in people from war-torn countries?
I said that we need to be careful how we do that. First of all, if we welcome them in, do we have the capacity to care for them? Do we have the ability to give them homes? Do we have the ability to care for those who have...
We would, but I talk about this a lot, the big F word in politics. Funding, which this government, like the moment it sees any sort of funding, it starts to throw up and fucking pass out. Like if you're not willing to actually allocate funding to anything, obviously you cannot deal with these issues. I think when Winnie dies, New Zealand First, all the different factions will fight. Yeah, it's the same as MAGA. Like these movements, these populist movements are like completely stuck around a cult leader. Like the moment the cult leader dies, I don't think there's anybody charismatic enough to like carry them on. Because this guy is like a complete opportunist like Winnie, but he doesn't have the charisma. Shane Jones is like, I actually believe it. I don't think the man has a soul. I think they sacrificed that shit when he went to that mining conference. The guy there is no humanity left in that motherfucker. So I don't think there's a single person in NZ First who could actually carry the torch.
Come through those traumatic situations, you have to provide counselling and support to allow those families to actually transition into our society.
So what's the ideology you mentioned though?
Well, the ideology is just let them all come in. Let's not worry about them. Let's just welcome, be open doors.
We have immigration services. Like, this is hyperbole. For obvious reasons, they're trying to make it seem like the government is doing nothing about immigration, but we have a whole ass fucking system. Like, our immigration system is one of the most restrictive in the world, especially for biosecurity stuff. It's just so stupid, dude. No, nothing he says is truly under a factual basis. It's all just like vibes politics.
To me, that's the ideology that we hear often from the left. They keep talking about this rather than saying, and let's think about what's happened in other countries like Europe. They said the same thing too. It's slightly different. You know, look what happened to Germany.
New Zealand has international agreements to take refugees, and in most countries do, and refugees are very... Yeah, no, completely agree. Like, our refugee population is very small. Yep, that's the NZ First Party. Yeah, you get it, bro. Like, it's just the most, like, vitriolic dog shit I've ever heard in my life. No facts, only vibes, yeah. Like, I swear, if you stick your finger in these guys' throats and you bring it out, you'll just have a finger full of feces, dude. That's how much dog shit they spew.
Other countries now.
I think it's very, very different. If you consider the number of people who've made their way into Germany, and into mainland Europe via
but
Syria
it was the ideology. Well, first of all, was the birth rate had lowered, right, and they needed to have the labour force to be able to address that. So to me, it's an ideological issue that we need to be careful of.
You have been described as a Christian Zionist. Is that a
Like, I can get why, because like America has a close tie to Israel and some European countries, so I get why they talk about it. We're an island in the middle of fucking nowhere, okay? Why the fuck is Israel being brought up here? And like, I know why. It's because the NZ First movement is a copy-paste of MAGA, so they need to take literally every single point into their thing, because like Winston Peters is not a politically creative man, he just knows how to survive in politics. But it's just like, what is this discussion we're having?
a description that you would accept?
Of course.
Yeah.
For Zionists is the belief that all Jews have the right to go to the ancestral homeland, Israel. Absolutely. No different that I'm a New Zealander of Cook Island descent.
I thought it was them nicking our passports.
If I choose to go to Cook Islands, and by the way, that my grandmother, if she was still alive, you know, she was Jewish.
Right.
And so she was never born in Israel, but she should have the right to return back to Israel as her ancestral homeland.
So Winston Peters has long advocated for a two-state solution. Do you agree?
Well, the thing is that, of course, but here's the thing: it's not about us, right? You know,
but there have been more Jewish prime ministers of New Zealand outside. Yeah, there have been. Like, the thing is too is like, it's like if you were to describe Zionism as like Israel should exist, and like the Jews should have a homeland, yeah, sure. But the problem is, it's like what people don't understand is when people use a lot of these tags, there's a lot of baggage that they're not addressing. And like the reason why you're saying Christian Zionism is because it's kind of a dog whistle for we hate the Palestinian cause, and we hate any criticism of like social conservatism and like religious fundamentalism. Like those are kind of the hidden things they're not talking about there when they bring up those tags. Like again, like in the most flat way, I would even say like, yeah, I'm a Zionist. I believe that, you know, the Jews have a right to a homeland, but I also believe the Palestinians should, obviously. But like, he's not addressing like the other shit that he means when he says he's a Christian Zionist.
He's also talked about we're on the other end of the world, but does Palestine and the Palestinian Authority believe in a two-state solution? Do many of the other countries around there? The answer...
And by the way, again, this is another dog whistle. He's saying that, like, oh, I believe a two-state solution, but do the Palestinians? If so, I think the Jews should just get everything. Like, again, this is what I mean. There's a lot of, like, dog whistling happening when they use these tags. What the fuck? His grandmother would be ashamed of him. A Maori in any shape or form advocating for confiscating others' land would be... Yeah, no, I agree. Does NZ have a significant military force? And if so, are they in the Middle East at all? No, not at all, brother. We have no connect. Like, I brought this up, Scrab, but, like, this guy's part of a party called NZ First, which is literally just our MAGA. But when I say that, I literally mean every single one of their political takes copy-pasted from MAGA. Like, we never talked about trans issues in our country until this party popped up. My heart of hearts, I believe the two states are a solution, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm sympathetic to Palestinians, but I do think the leadership is... Yeah, like, both sides are just... Like, what was funny is that when Israel was first conceived, they had really good political leadership, and they knew how to do politics and diplomacy. But, like... But now it's both the Arabs and the Jews. They just do not... Like like diplomacy for the Israelis right now is throwing missiles into like Beirut, and diplomacy for the Palestinians is like parachuting into like Israel proper and like killing. Like it's just the most stupid. Like if you want to get a solution in the Middle East at this point, you're gonna drop like you're gonna put a thermonuclear device on there for like a 5-minute time and tell both sides like you guys gotta make up a deal right now or it's fucking over for all of you. And that's like obviously that's a meme, but like I just don't know. Like I've stopped caring about the conflict really. We mostly trade other nations, and mostly we do like training and like we do like assistant stuff.
Would be no.
But to be totally clear, you Alfred Ngaro, believes in a two-state
I would like to
solution.
believe that we could get there, but can I say this to you? October the 7th in 2023 changed all of that. What we found is that there is no belief by those countries. Israel made every effort to try and work towards a two-state solution. That is not the...
Basically, both sides only agree on one thing, that basically, like, I vote for mech suits and robot soldiers to keep the peace. That's never gone wrong before. Yeah, like, what's funny is that Sanran has KKK. What's funny is like the Israelis and the Palestinians have both, like, especially under Arafat, they both never wanted the peace process. They both did everything possible. Like the Israelis expanded settlements into the West Bank, and then the Palestinian Authority like did terror attacks and kept violating agreements under the Oslo Accords and stuff that they signed. Like both sides never wanted true peace, but the problem is like people will say that October 7th is this huge thing. It was a huge thing, but it was really not as different as the first and second Intifada. It was just like what October 7th should really be called is the third Intifada, because that's what it was. It was just another terror attack that was made because Palestinians were not happy with the Abraham Accords that Trump signed, basically, without bringing the Palestinians in. Because if people forget why October 7th happened, it wasn't because of like the settlements. It was because Trump recognized Jerusalem as the embassy in Jerusalem or whatever. That was the main reason the Palestinians got really angry, because Jerusalem's like a very big, contentious hot point in that region.
issue now, because now those countries don't believe in that.
I know many people would contest that assertion, but
That's
to be
good.
clear, yeah. Finally, have you had any promises of where you'll be on the...
I thought that documentary had a big part to play on the 7th. Nah, not at all, brother. Trust me. The big thing was the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords was just a unit. It was just a deal between the Israelis and the Americans. I shouldn't even say the Americans. It was between the Israelis and Trump, because Trump has no understanding of the region. That, oh yeah, the Jerusalem embassy is like, we're recognizing this, which in a sense recognizes Jerusalem as like the capital of Israel, which is very contentious in that region.
list?
No, I was raised not with a sense of entitlement. It's important that you have to do your part. You have to earn the respect of people to be able to be where you are. And look, like I say, I'm honoured and privileged that, you know, the party and Winston have given me this chance to be able to be part of this movement of change. And as I've been travelling the country, it is a groundswell. People are saying that we need change. And the great thing about...
Is immigration a big issue for New Zealand? In the States, I've met multiple people that want to move there, so I assumed it's not like a huge issue. Like immigration, again, it's like a vibes-based thing. People just hate, like, people like this who are this political disposition, talk about like the culture stuff and whatever. It's just the most stupid shit. Like over here, like, we just have very like underpopulated regions. Like Auckland and like Wellington are the only real big like population centers. I'm trying to get the Arab states to recognize as well without the Palestinian states. Yeah, that too. Sorry, yeah, you're right, Simon. There was also like trying to sidestep Palestinians by using the Arab states as like a vector. But yeah, like immigration is not like a huge issue here. We don't have like those kind of issues. Like our communities have always been pretty diverse from the get-go.
about New Zealand first.
It's just mostly a lot of
It's just
fear-mongering.
runs it straight.
Well, tēnā koe. We really appreciate your time. Good luck with the campaign.
Thank you.
Alfred Ngaro. If you want to contact the Q&A team,
Oh, this looks pretty good.
for months, we've been working to obtain records from inside the Ministry of Social Development. Emergency housing grants are the only MSD mechanism.
Holy Jesus, you're the first Twitch streamer that I've followed. Oh, is this that I followed that has finally fucking decided to go stream? It's a bigger issue than it used to be, but mostly it's being played to both ignore and exit. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Modi. What does that mean, Pebble? As in like stream today or like in general?
To provide people with immediate shelter. Now, as the government works to introduce move-on orders which could criminalise rough sleepers, managers at MSD are being told they can potentially face performance management if staff approve too.
Because there's no one good Terraria streamers and I'm kind of bored. Yeah, as I said, I have my politics stuff and I stream every day. and I just do some games whenever I've got some mates on. Like, I think, actually, you know what? This is news for you, Pebble. This Tuesday, we'll be streaming Terraria. My mate said he's got time then. So if you want to clock in on Tuesday, if you don't have baseball, that is.
Too many requests for emergency housing.
Sweet, you could finally clock in then.
Midwinter is an especially brutal time for anyone sleeping rough. And for those on the front line trying to help, the demand is relentless.
We're seeing people living on the streets who we have never seen before, particularly older people.
And this is, okay, there's another thing I bring up in stream a lot. There is a significant difference between public and private debt. If the budget surplus is like amazing, but people cannot afford shit, it'll collapse the economy. If the government takes on the burden of the people, it takes on public debt, sure, it does fuck over our budget, and the interest payments on our budget is a tax on the younger generations, obviously, because you're denying them future services. But the hope is that you could take on that burden in the temporary, and then hopefully with some reforms and some tax changes and stuff like that, you can eventually solve the situation. But like, public debt is so much easier to solve than private debt in this regard.
And the issue is affordable housing. There just isn't enough affordable housing.
Jill Hawkey runs Christchurch's Methodist Mission. Helen Robinson runs the Auckland City Mission. Both provide housing support for people in need.
I have never seen the scale of homelessness in my 13 years. There are
Yeah, like, also, this pretty much correlates with our unemployment rate. I think, like, Auckland has, like, 6% unemployment, and, like, the Bay of Plenty's got 7%. It's, like, it's some stupid shit, dude. Like, our unemployment's really whack. Like, I think the national unemployment is, like, 4-point-something%. But, like, depending on the region you're in, it's crazy where some of the numbers are going.
actually hundreds of people who are rough sleeping here in Auckland and in central Auckland, and there's totally unmet need.
Last week, ministers...
Affordable. Another reason to stop the automatic accommodation subsidy that's propping up our housing economy with bits. Agree. Sounds like Bernard Hickey on the private... Yeah, it's just a basic economic stance. Like, if you understand anything like economics or governance, like, I'm just a stupid-ass guy in his 20s with a PC who's streaming. Like, and all I've done is read these basic terms, and, like, even I can understand this. So, like, there's only one of two things. Either these people are spawns of Satan who don't want to look after the people, or they're just genuinely retarded. There's only two ways to look at this currently with this government. We don't even know our actual housing level. Yeah. I brought this up a lot in my stream, Modi, but, like, we should stop treating housing like an asset and more like a commodity to be traded with demand and supply. Because, like, speculating a value of a house has no productive value in it as an investment. Like, the moment a construction worker leaves a housing site, the productive value of that asset immediately stops. Like, land is the productive asset, not the house itself. Like, housing should be a commodity. It's the reason why it was so cheap in, like, the 1900s. Is because it was just something you would just, like, buy to live in or whatever, depending on the supply and demand of houses constructed. But, like, speculation housing is truly the thing that fucked over our economies in the 21st century.
Chris Bishop and Tama Pōtaka confirmed $14.5 million in funding for rough sleeper support services. But despite acknowledging what it described as unmet need, the government hasn't relaxed the targets for emergency housing grants. And we've obtained documents showing MSD staff being assessed on keeping the numbers down. Under the Official Information Act, Q&A...
Apathy. It's pure apathy. Remember the 4,000 families automatically meaning children made homeless when as the first thing this government did. Yeah, like, remember, when the national government came in, we were at a time where inflation was, we were start to feel the effects of the COVID inflation. Because inflation's like, if I have an inflation rate now of 10%, you're not going to feel that inflation rate until 3 years down the line. That's what happened in 2023. We were going to start feeling the COVID inflation. We were basically in a recession. The economic condition was going down. The government, in any economic pragmatic view, needed to up funding or at least keep it the way it was. But this government paid money to cancel work contracts that were already going on, which made our unemployment go up, and we paid money to stop job opportunities. It was the most blatantly stupid shit I've ever seen in my life. They didn't care. They were sending... Yeah, like, this government truly is, like... I don't want to go that far, but truly I would say satanic.
Obtained a letter sent to regional commissioners in MSD outlining their performance expectations and accountability for the year. The letter... Ones
that were even... Again, it's the most stupid shit ever. Like, I went from, like, kind of, like, not liking the National Party to despising them ever since I read that shit. It was the most brain-dead shit I've ever seen in my life.
It says managers' performance will be reviewed quarterly. Included in the corresponding performance measures were job seeker reduction targets in your area achieved, were emergency housing reduction targets achieved. There's a performance rating for each measure, so exceeding, achieving, or needs improvement. Wording in the background documents is explicit. Managers are told that hitting the government's targets will be the unrelenting focus for this financial year. And if the performance measures aren't satisfied, the letter of expectation has a warning.
Where performance does not meet expectations, you'll be required to develop and implement targeted improvement plans to address gaps and restore performance.
This is just extraordinarily difficult to swallow, partly.
That's a threat, by the way. That's a legal threat. It basically just says that, hey, if you don't meet these standards, we're fucking you. In the most indirect way, that is a threat of stopping any assistance.
It's so difficult for me to swallow because I know the names of the hundreds of people who are rough sleeping. And if I don't know them, the people in the organisation I lead do. These are people here. And to have a performance criteria attached to a decision that will harm an individual is really...
What was the threat? So basically they said that, so if I go back here to the words, so where performance does not meet expectations, you will be required to develop and implement targeted improvement plans to address gaps. So they're basically saying, if you don't have good stats, basically, we want you to come up with something different or else we're going to push it this way. But the way our current economic condition is, and especially when it comes to our larger homelessness issue that's growing because of our unemployment, this is just not possible in the current climate. So this is basically a veiled threat to cut off any assistance.
Plans to address gaps and restore performance.
So sleeping, and if I don't know them, the people in the organisation I lead do. These are people here. And to have a performance criteria attached to a decision that will harm an individual is really difficult.
What is the standard that they're expected to meet? Basically, I don't know too much about this in the specifics, but from what I understand, it's to house it, to house at least 20%. So basically, it's to build and or accommodate a certain amount of people with a certain amount of funding, from what I understand. I could be blatantly wrong about this, but that's my basic understanding of the situation.
To swallow. In the end result means that decision makers are incentivised to say no.
Or putting it another way, I don't think anybody should be rewarded for denying somebody their human right to shelter.
That's another thing too. You can't attach incentives to make an organisation made to house people to deny housing them. That's just stupid as fuck. Why would you do that?
And that's essentially what's happening. And I think, if you've got KPIs around the number of people who you've actually moved into more appropriate housing, all good and well. It's something that's positive. But you've got this kind of...
The thing is, the places just aren't there. What landlords want for renting them out ends up costing less than the building the damn place. Yeah, it's just so stupid. Yeah, no, I agree. It's just a terrible thing. But as I said, one of the main reasons that you can't even achieve the targets right now currently is because the economic condition is dog shit. It's not possible to meet the conditions of this current economic climate.
Perverse incentive to actually keep people out of emergency housing because...
Okay, what we have in the States, in cities where they're required to house a certain amount of people below a... basically, and that's kind of the gist of it.
That's one of your KPIs.
This week, we sent copies of the documents to Tama Pōtaka's office. Did you know that MSD managers have emergency housing targets as performance measures?
I've only just become aware of...
There's no fucking way, by the way. He's lying through his teeth. You can't be in government, especially in a high position like this, and not be aware of something this critical. If you are, there's only one of two things. Either you're a fucking demon, or you're lying through your teeth. There's only two reasons. I refuse to believe this, fundamentally.
Some of the observations that you've made just now.
Far less extreme, we're trying for it not to get that bad, where the agency's funding can't get cut for... again, when we talk about government funding, all right, it's not about a profit incentive. It's not about running it like a business where you save money. The whole idea of using public funding is for the public good. It's about getting the utility out of the thing. So sure, there might be some inefficiencies that the government needs to address, but you cannot threaten cutting funding because of that inefficiency. Miracles I can't handle that. Don't worry.
And I'm not completely sure
whether or not how you describe it is actually how it materialises. Those are operational matters that I leave for Te Manatu Whakahia Tō Ora, the Ministry for Social Development, to undertake.
So I'm reading from the Regional Commissioner Performance Agreement here. It talks about the government targets for reducing emergency housing numbers, and it has a series of measures on which staff are assessed. One of those is housing services effectiveness, monthly phased reduction target achieved. What else would that be?
Well, again, I'm not an MSD manager, and last time I looked, you weren't either.
That's, by the way, that's a dog whistle of saying I completely agree with the kind of things that are going on, but like I'm not going to talk about it because it's going to make me become unpopular, basically. It's also about mitigating the issues. Things like homelessness or addiction costs far less to get someone off meth or into a house that it does not fix the results of crime. Agreed. I just brought this up. Like, it's the point of utility. You're not there to save money. It's to use the money to hopefully draw down some of these societal effects. This man owes his entire political career to Christopher Luxon for forcing to Hamilton West national selection. Yeah, no, I know this, Simon. But what I'm trying to say is, like, this guy's in a high office. He knows what the fuck is going on. It's supposed to be a fence at the top of the cliff and say, yeah, agreed. But yeah, like, again, the whole point of the government is to bring utility, not to fucking save money. That's the point of the government. Like, there are issues you could have with efficiency and like corruption or whatever, but like that's something that you can still address while funding these things. It's not like drawing the funding away will immediately like magically solve the issue.
Emergency housing has been a contentious policy. Numbers exploded under the previous government, with people in hotels and motels costing hundreds of millions of dollars a year. As one of the biggest steps in its housing response, the government prioritised families on the social housing list.
Hell, it even saves the money to fund those things. It saves a cost you'd have to pay in 20 to 30 years time. Yeah, definitely agree. And keep in mind too, like, when you have homeless people and when you have people who are addicted to these kind of things, it just creates societal instability. So to subtract on that, it's just a good thing for everybody. Our housing company is publicly funded in New Zealand because here it's more of them getting money from the government to support the community, where most rental agencies are entirely private. With we have private construction companies, but we also have government construction agencies. But like Fletcher is like a very big private one. They do a lot of our construction over here. They've kind of got a monopoly on a lot of that just because of the scale of the company. But yeah, we have a lot of like government contracts that go out to some private businesses, which is not like a bad thing. Like these private construction guys have their profit incentives. They're pretty efficient in their jobs and do whatever. But yeah, from what I understand, most of our stuff is done privately.
And funded extra places for the Housing First program, moves which housing advocates say have made a meaningful, positive difference.
Oh, sorry, yeah, for social housing, sorry, my bad.
In addition, 2 years ago, Tama Pōtaka oversaw a change in the criteria for emergency housing grants. So if someone was considered to have contributed to their situation, they could be denied emergency housing. Almost immediately, the number of emergency housing denials skyrocketed, the number of grants plummeted, and the government announced it had achieved its reduction target 5 years early. But at the same time, community groups around the country reported a surge in the number of rough sleepers.
So it's a strong view that many people hold that your policy has led to an increase in homelessness. What's your view?
Well, I think there's a range of factors.
What's your view?
Well, my view is
He's not going to directly answer this question, by the way. So I'm just telling you right now.
this is that where people have a genuine need for short-term stay and temporary accommodation in most towns and cities in New Zealand, there continues to be emergency housing available.
The government...
See, what did I say? He didn't fucking answer it. Then comes in city pay by ratepayers, mostly for older pensioners and disabled, the state in which is more general. Actually made money with tenants paying 25% of their income until very recently. Yeah.
maintains that's still the case. And following our initial queries, Q&A submitted more requests under the OIA.
Yeah, like that's what I meant. Like he was going to sidestep it because again, this guy knows what these changes were. I fucking guarantee. I'm willing to bet my left fucking testicle on this. Okay, this guy knew what these changes were. He just cannot verbalize it because it will completely collapse his personal popularity, and it's just going to look very optically bad. And I don't even know how you can make the National Party more hated, but it'll make them more hated too.
This month, MSD confirmed to us multiple different tiers of staff, right down to assistant centre managers, have letters with similar wording referencing emergency housing targets and consequences for if performance does not meet expectations. Instead of every quarter, some staff are told they'll be assessed on their performance every 4 to 6 weeks.
Could you see in principle, though, how it might create a perverse incentive for teams to deny emergency housing requests that have merit because they want to hit the government's
I
target?
could see that that's one.
It's insane. We went from an actual transparent government to this, where everything requires an OIA. Yeah. I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Maori, but I'm pretty sure hasn't like our like corruption, like the global corruption number, hasn't it gone up throughout this government? Because I think it was the lowest in the last Labour government, but our corruption scale has actually gone up actively ever since this government got in power.
Interpretation reasonable people could have.
You are the minister who is ultimately responsible for this.
Or a member from, yeah.
If indeed these documents are confirmed as showing MSD managers, as part of their performance criteria, are assessed on whether or not emergency housing...
We used to be the second or third most transparent country in the world and anti-corruption statistics internationally, but we've gone down recently. Yeah, every time national gets in, actually, this one lost 2 places key. Yeah, bro, like there are some things where it's like there are subjective numbers you can look at the history of these parties, and it's like, how can you, if you truly are politically engaged and seriously engaged, be like, yep, no, there's definitely like both sides have a point here. It's like, no, clearly, like, this one party which is just that much better than the other one. It's just the most stupid shit ever.
Housing targets are met in their region. Are you comfortable with that as minister?
No, that'd be something that I'd ask the Chief Executive Officer at MSD about.
After speaking with the minister, we went back to MSD and they confirmed our reporting is accurate. Sustaining progress on emergency housing is one of 11 measures we use to assess performance, not a standalone target, they told us. It would be wrong to say someone would face disciplinary action based solely on the housing reduction target. Someone's performance review would be considered against the full suite of measures.
There are other fascinating details.
Engaged? Yeah, hell, most people under 35 don't even know how a government works. We seriously need, like, civics is a basic thing, but to be fair, Modi, you need to understand, it takes a certain level of autism to actually be interested in politics. Like, you could genuinely teach, like, for example, like, history is taught in school, but, like, no one gives a fuck about history. Like, they do their tests, they move on, and they forget about it in, like, another year or two. We are currently we used to be third, we're behind Singapore, Finland, and Denmark, yeah. So it's on the housing target and how someone feels. Yeah, no, that's what it is. But yeah, like, I bring this up a lot on stream. There's like a difference between being politically engaged and politically conscious. Like, if you're politically engaged, you're just kind of like entering the political system because you're angry and you want to throw your vote to whoever feels like can fix your issues. But if you're politically conscious, you first have like a fundamental like core ideology you work off of, and then you like see what party offers you what your like core ideology like dictates, basically. But, like, yeah, not many people are that, like, autistically engaged in politics, and I don't even fucking blame them.
In the documents we've obtained. So, for example, MSD staff are told that 95% of people who exit emergency housing shouldn't get another grant and return for at least 6 months. They also show that MSD treated the original emergency housing and job seeker benefit targets differently. So, when it became clear that the economic recovery was taking longer than the government had hoped, the job seeker targets were rephased. But even when community providers and councils around the country reported an increase in the number of rough sleepers, the emergency housing targets remained the same.
I was a kid and realized they control 90% of our lives, so I figured it's better to be... Yeah, no, definitely. Like, for example, like, I'm very pro-capitalism, I'm very pro-liberal democracy, like, these kind of things, and I understand that, like, although I may have some disagreements with Labour, like 30% when it comes to policy stuff, you have to be pragmatic to a degree. You have to understand that you need these people to represent us in government so that you can slowly push the party in the direction you want. You can't be apathetic about the system and say, oh, nothing matters, it's all over, whatever, no one listens to us anyway. You need to be engaged in the system. Or else, like, I'm sorry, you don't have the right to bitch about anything if you're not engaged. That's just how I personally feel.
Remembering that if you are literally, you ring up tonight and say,
Like, this... It would have been easy to be caught out in the last 6 years and end up as one of the stats jackets. Yeah, definitely. yeah, like remember, what's the quote? Like, one death is a tragedy, a million is a statistic. It's like sometimes you look at these statistics, you can get like disassociated with them, but these are people. And like, if a couple of votes were different, this probably would not be happening right now. So like, yeah, it's very important to be engaged, even if you don't agree with certain politicians, you have gripes with them. Like, you need to understand the core fundamental things they bring to government, and you have to be pragmatic in that regard.
Need shelter, please, and you're told no. Like, what other options do you have? The street.
Yep, and yeah. So yeah, we need to like foster like not just a community but a society of people who just think pragmatically when it comes to politics. Like, I'm sorry, you're not going to get 100% what you want because we don't live in a dictatorship. In a democracy, we all have different views about left-wing and right-wing stuff, but we need to come together to get a more broad tent, cohesive policy platform.
Is truly only the option, so the impact of that decision is extraordinarily negative for that individual. So to put a performance target to a decision maker, to someone who's vulnerable and powerless, where that will significantly harm them, is distressing. You can see why I feel so agitated about it all.
Also, this is more of like a personal gripe of mine. What I've been hating for the past 2 years about national bitching about like the debt spiral we had during the COVID time under the Labour government and saying that's all because of Labour's dogshit economic policies. They took $50 billion in debt spending to build our national roads of queer significance with no funding plan. That's half the amount of debt Labour took under COVID. I'd settle for the communities that National Shipley's government destroyed with their pot your neighbor. Yeah, I kept it.
Last week's Homelessness Insights report painted a mixed picture. The number of rough sleepers counted in Auckland and Christchurch was down, but the number in Wellington and some other centres was up. And the report included these observations from council staff.
And borrowed money to keep people in their jobs when the pandemic was happening. Yeah, yes, completely. Like, I believe there was a Royal Commission report on New Zealand's response to COVID. From what I understand from that report, we can go over it on stream tomorrow if I have time and I want to bring it up. But like, it basically said that we basically not only the best we could, but we did the best out of most countries. We had the least amount of COVID deaths per capita throughout the world during the pandemic. So, like, yeah, I just don't get it, dude. People forget that the only reason they're not homeless right now was thanks to Labour saving their... Yes, like, remember, the whole point of the government is to create stability and to create utility. It's not to save money, and it's not to like, yeah, it's just so stupid. Like, we live in a community together, you know? Like, people pay into a system, and, you know, whatever tax money you get, it's not going to go directly to you. The idea is to get that capital in one location and distribute it efficiently. Sorry, Labour, the Greens, and Te Pāti Māori, yeah. But like, Labour obviously was the biggest charge in that, you know, it's the big party and whatnot. But yeah, definitely.
Around the country.
Across most areas, the number of people living without shelter was reported to be increasing over the last 6 months. Changes reported include increases among women, older people, young people, and people sleeping in vehicles.
Now, as we head into the coldest time of year, there is a critical question at the heart of housing support. How many people actually need emergency housing?
Some people who don't have shelter...
Even National supported at the time after Collins floated sacrificing everyone's grandmas, yeah. Like, remember, like, what's funny is... I haven't read... I don't remember that time too much, so... It could be the case that, like, remember, National has a certain policy platform, but you have to run off optics, because, like, when we talk about politics, again, as I said, not many people are politically engaged. It's not because they don't... It's not because, like, they're not taught to be. They genuinely just don't want to be. People aren't that autistic. It could be the case that National was pro that policy, but just Collins saying that out loud was enough to nuke any, like, verbal support for that policy, and was to be like, okay, no, we actually agree with what Labour's doing. A shitload. I remember Paul Goldsmith, who was the finance spokesperson for Nashville, was demanding more money for the businesses at the time. Yeah, no. Remember, like, it was a time where economies were contracting, global trade was shutting down, so you needed to degenerate internal demand, which is why inflation. Remember, inflation is not just some random number. The whole point of inflation is it's too much money chasing too few goods. But the reason why we had the inflation is because we couldn't export. Global markets collapsed. So you needed to generate more money to chase goods so people would be out there spending and keeping the economy alive. Meant to say national, yeah. A shitload need emergency housing in winter. Yeah, like... like what you just said is an obvious statement, but like it just sucks that like half of our country is like, no, that's cringe and stupid. We never invested in transport. It was stupid. Yeah, I know like light rail was floated in Labour before they got out of government, and obviously this government didn't continue. But there was that, I think, that project in the CBD that got finished. But like, yeah, like we're trying. Like, remember, it's about policy platforms and philosophies. Like Labour clearly has a philosophy of expanding our transport networks, which is why we need them in government. So if you want to actually get that kind of stuff out there, we need to hope that 2026 is the year of the red flag.
Walk into a work and income office off the street. But many choose to phone instead. And when they do so, before they have a...
Oh, I meant ocean transport. We're not... Yeah, well, the ferry deal was the biggest one, right? But this government flip-flopped on that one too.
Formal appointment with a case manager, they're essentially triaged by someone in a call centre. It took months, but we also obtained the records from MSD's call centre logging system, Queue Manager, and compared those with the number of formal applications for emergency housing. The data shows a huge shift, so the blue line here shows the number of initial calls about emergency housing every month. The red line shows the number of formal applications that followed. In the last months of the last government, there was a huge discrepancy. So even if people weren't calling about emergency housing, MSD case managers were holding an appointment and submitting formal emergency housing applications, almost all of which were approved. But then watch this. When the new government announced its targets, abruptly, the two lines flipped.
This should make this very obvious, by the way.
Even though the number of people calling up and inquiring about emergency housing remained relatively steady, the number of applications formally submitted and either approved or denied recorded a huge drop. For example, in July, August and September of last year...
Again, people forget it's in Key's national government. They stopped allowing applications in the first place. Can't have a problem if it's not recorded. Yeah, exactly. And the graph literally shows that. It literally shows that bar for bar. It's just so depressing, dude. Because, like, again, like, these, we look at them as statistics, but these are people. These are living, breathing people that are being denied housing.
MSD call centre staff...
That's 9 years of people this graph is showing. Yeah, no, I know that. But that's what I'm saying, like... Lols. But yeah, but, like, it's just depressing, man.
Received more than 3,000 calls relating to emergency housing inquiries. But for each month, only 2,000 grant applications were then submitted by a case manager. For 16 months in a row, it's the same. Each month, there are at least 1,000 more initial inquiries about emergency housing than the number of official applications.
I see a lot of these people who have denied housing on the streets of Rotorua in the city centre. I feel, yeah, dude, it's just, again, like, these aren't, like, we look at them statistics, and obviously you need to look at statistics for, like, a broad view for policy stuff, but it's just so depressing that this government's like, our changes have done nothing, and then you look at this and it's like, well, clearly you were just fucking lying to me. Yeah, it's just blatantly depressing, bro. There's like no other way to say it.
That are actually submitted. Part of the reason this matters is it's only at that point, once a formal application has been submitted, that people in need have a legal right to appeal the decision. And if every month MSD is receiving 1,000 more calls inquiring about emergency housing than the total number of applications that are actually submitted, we wanted to know what's happening to those people. MSD wouldn't give us an interview, but they told us the discrepancy is because some people have multiple appointments.
The whole reason I just buy National is the last year Key was in. I was at work and I saw the police gather a body from a bush across the road. Dude went in there to get warm when he was dying. That was, yeah, dude, yeah. Remember, like, this is why I talk about political pragmatism. Like, you may not agree 100% with something, but, like, brother, your vote has consequences. And you know, like, I can't live myself. Like, I think it's immoral to be, like, apolitical or to, like, you know, not vote. Like, even if you have your problems with certain people, you need to make a rational decision. Be like, okay, these people at least will bring more utility and bring a better society. So yeah, I completely agree with you, like on that point. Like, you need to be engaged in the system, or else just you forfeit your right to bitch. Like, I'm sorry.
Or don't turn up, or that they have housing needs that can be supported in another way. But that is also the main reason that...
Turned out the guy was a customer of our... Oh, that's depressing. That you knew was homeless. We saw them often at our workplace since they waited for one of the limited spots. Yeah. Oh, man, that sucks. Fuck, dude.
People are denied emergency housing when they do submit a formal application. So it's not clear why some applications are submitted and some never are.
Can you guarantee that everyone who needs emergency housing is getting it?
I can guarantee that in most cities in
He's going to deflect again. Watch.
town in New Zealand, there is an opportunity to where you have a genuine need, you have genuine housing need for short-term stay and temporary accommodation, that is available. But in addition to that, that operates in a context.
Hey. How's it going, Squishy?
You don't go into a motel. Instead, you go into a house. You go into
Thanks
a
for the
home.
follow, man.
You go into a transitional housing facility. What I can say and what I have seen is MSD teammates and MSD.
They're told not to submit. They're told to live on friend or family. Yeah, like the idea is, like, Simon brought this up as a really good point. Like, as long as you're not registered in the system, you know, it's a statistic that can't be counted. That's like the whole point. They're trying to, like, fuck up the numbers, basically.
Staff is working very hard to support those in need. Sometimes it's about tenancy cost cover. Sometimes it's about bond support. Sometimes it's about informing them that they have an opportunity to get a pet bond.
Also, like, Jack asked him a very direct question. Are these people getting the help they need? He hasn't answered that yet. He's said everything else but that. Then there's that new rule contributed to your own situation. Yeah. Like, again, it's just, like, to do anything to make the ability to dodge people actually applying, basically.
There's over 10,000 pet bombs that have been issued to date. So my expectation of Kaimahi across government is to be effective.
We speaking about the Iran and America stuff or something else? Oh, this is just my local politics, New Zealand. I'm gonna do some global politics maybe in like an hour, but like I'm just doing a lot of local stuff because I had to have dinner with some family, so I started stream late.
Effective in the mahi that they're involved in, and also to have that notion of empathy, that notion of aroha for people in need.
Pet bond is another scheme to get money into private landlords. Yeah. Could you just do me a favor? I've heard this a lot. What is the pet bond? I have a general understanding of it, but like, what exactly is it?
There are only 27 sitting days left.
I wish Jack would ask, don't you think forcing families with young children to share living spaces with strangers would be submitted them to dangerous sexual violence menace? Yeah. Like, the problem is that I will defend our media a lot, because our media, if you look at any other Western media, bro, they're so brain broken into asking like any any right-wing party any like genuine questions. Like, our media does a very good job at holding our politicians accountable, but you have to understand these media figures aren't left or right. They are very much trying to hold an apolitical bias. So when like the right like throws itself into like the whirlpool of insanity, and like the left hasn't moved for a solid 20 years, it's really hard to say apolitical, and you need to find yourself over here. So like what you need is someone who's like center left leaning with an audience to like come up with these questions, because then you're allowed to be more antagonistic, because that's your whole platform. If you were rental property, the landlord can ask you now if you have a pet that you have to pay them extra money in a bond, and if the pet damages your rental property. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense. That's what I thought it was. Okay, cool. Thanks for this clarification, Simon.
For this government, as one of its final legislative efforts, it wants to introduce move-on orders, which could criminalise rough sleepers.
The premise of move-on orders is based on adequate support being available, both in the long term and in the short term. Now, what this does for me is genuinely put a significant question mark. How can the government guarantee that there is genuine support available for rough?
It's one of David Seymour's ideas. Yeah, oh my god. Who could have figured that one out? Something that benefits landlords with Seymour's idea? No fucking way, bro. There's no way I could have fucking figured that one out.
Sleepers and bring in the move-on orders.
I bring this up a lot. The national government gave in this budget gave $730 million of tax deductibility cuts to landlords but cut $542 million in free school lunches for kids. Never let them forget that. We should, like, Labour needs to be screaming that at the top of their lungs. Like, I'm going to be real with you, I love the Labour Party, and I'm a big supporter. I hate their media team. They need to start taking these numbers and talk about it constantly. That they would rather give a tax deductibility cut to landlords and deny school lunches for children. Seymour is a hologram of fake human being based.
I'm oversimplifying this, but
yeah. No, I think the exact number was 730 million. Because I read the whole report. I think it's in my notes if I bring it up. I think it wasn't in economics. Electorate, politics, Labour MP, Labour policies, national claim. I think it's down here. Yeah, here you go. Look, $730 million per year. In canceling they canceled the restoration of interest deductibility for. Oh, sorry, no, this is me proposing something else. But like interest deductibility for residential landlords of $730 million per year. Per year. That's $3 billion in a government cycle that we just don't get anymore. So yeah.
a risk that people who are denied emergency housing are then finding themselves on their streets and then are subject to move-on orders and are then criminalised.
Absolutely.
And at every stage of the process.
Yeah. Absolutely.
From my point of view, you're not simplifying it. In fact, that's exactly what's happening. So we've seen a significant growth in rough sleeping, and the scale of it, as I said before, that I've never seen before. We link that in part to the change of emergency housing policies. We've now had the introduction of move-on orders that seeks to criminalise the very behaviour that a policy contributed to. So if New Zealand could find a way to provide adequate support to people who are rough sleeping, so that's in the immediate and the shelter, then we would go a long way to not needing the move-on orders at all.
Yep.
Submissions on move-on orders close this Thursday.
Fuck, dude. All right. The real question is, do I want to damage my brain? We found a way. We had plenty of ways, and this government told us to forget them. Yeah, again, because this government doesn't care. Like it's just like it's. If you want to simplify it, that's the best way to simplify it. They just do not give a fuck. It's that simple. All right, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna load this video. I'm gonna quickly make myself a coffee. I'll be back in 2 minutes. All right, I'm back. We found a way. Yeah. They cost us $2 to save up. Yeah, 30 on. Yeah, I actually watched parts of that David Seymour Act rally today. A lot of it was very Chainsaw vibes, where he wants to cut all his government departments. Now I'll be playing the whole paying the 30A. Wasn't he cutting like 40 down to 17 or wants to? I believe that's the case. I'm not too sure though.
Well, I think it'd be very hard for us to sit in a bloated cabinet again. You never know what you face. It might be former government without that, or Armageddon with the Greens getting in or something. So you always want to leave room for the.
Is it just me, or are her eyes not balanced? I swear they're a bit lopsided, no? Yeah, he seriously looks like Rimmer from Red Dwarf. I like it. I see the gun lady is there. Then you definitely, yeah, I've seen this lady here. I don't have a strong opinion on her yet. I think they're too far apart. Yeah, like dude, like I swear this is like leaning more to the left this one than this is. But like from this is Brooke Van Velden, right? If I remember correctly. Because from what I know, I think she's in Tamaki. Like, I break this up with stream a lot, but I've got a mate who's in Tamaki who is campaigning for Max Harris. Now Brooke's gone. Oh, she's gone. Oh shit. Who's this bet? Who's this lady? You are correct. Wait, it is. Wait, is it Brooke or not? Cause I swear she at least looks like her. She quit like 2 months ago. Okay. Oh shit. Wait, then who's in Tamaki then? That's Brooke Van Velden, but she's not. Okay. Oh, so this is Brooke, but she's not running for re-election. Okay, got it. That makes sense. Because I was like, this looks like Brooke. Okay.
The possibility of some Armageddon-style scenario. But we believe if we can't get a smaller, more efficient government with 18 ministers and 9...
By the way, the funny thing about, if you know anything about business, actually the hilarious thing about what he just said, if you want to make an efficient business, the irony of it is you need a big business. You need to scale your capital, because as your business grows, the throughput grows, so the efficiency of everything you're doing grows. So what he just said is an oxymoron. Like, the smaller government you have, the less capable you are of dealing with any issue that ever exists, period.
19 departments like they have in Norway or Ireland or Singapore, then we are going to be wasting our time.
Is that your top priority?
It's our top priority so far, but we've got 132 days, and the ACT Party's never been short of policy. It is critical.
Yeah, don't shut up dog shit policy.
Our colleagues are actually warm to it, because they've already said they want...
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, like, if you know anything about business, it's like throughput and scales of economy exist. Again, like, once you understand basic economic, like, things, it is so piss funny how, like, easy it is to debunk half of, like, their economic points. He is correct partially about Ireland's cabinet ministers, but there's a load of associate ministers there. Like, yeah, there's a lot of them, yeah.
Smaller bureaucracy. They've already said they want fewer departments. My challenge to them, if you're going to have fewer departments, why do you still want to have so many ministers?
My question on that, you're removing the Public Service Commission. Those CEOs will now directly answer to ministers. There is going to be...
I brought this up in a previous stream. Whenever we have these interviews, for fuck's sake, someone give these, like, reporters a mic. I want to hear the question too. Because it pisses me off. And I have to, like, lean in to, like, hear what the fuck the question is.
I can hear it now, that is politicising the public service.
You know what? When the government takes $142 billion of your money, that is political. And the people responsible for spending that money should be politically accountable.
So they should be politicised. They should be political positions.
They should. If you're a smart minister, you will appoint the best person to the job, because you're going to need them. But ultimately, we've got to a stage in New Zealand where having a democratically elected person in charge is somehow dirty, and if you put an unelected person in charge, that's somehow better. We reject that. Sorry.
This is the hot take. I am for unelected ministers to some degree. Like, for example, if you're trying to like put someone as like the finance minister, like I'm not too sure how that ministerial position works, but like they need to have an economics degree. I am so sorry. Because when people are educated, they're not like charisma and education are two separate things. The whole point of politicians is to be charismatic and to be like electable, but that can also mean they're retarded. Like Trump is the best example of this. Like Trump is a blatant retard, but he has some political charisma that's given him like clout in the Republican Party. So like, to a degree, I'm for unelected ministers. Do we trust her? Shane Jones would put, so you'll be held liable for the 100 million. Yeah, true. But yeah, like I think what we need to do to make our democracy more effective, we need to like make some amendment that whenever someone's in a ministerial position, they have to have some like education in the field that they're like being in a ministerial position for. And we've seen what happens when your finance minister. Yeah, dude, Nick, you have no idea. Every time I see Nicola Willis on stream, I actually lose my shit, bro. It's the most. Imagine saying you're going to have a budget surplus in this new budget you constructed, and the basis is that housing prices are going to go up. That is how you're going to achieve that. That is the most economically illiterate thing I've ever heard in my life. Because not only can you not guarantee housing prices going up, you're hedging that the housing market's going to become more unaffordable to make the budget surplus. Nikki no boats is hilarious. Nikki no boats.
We've talked about this as a caucus, and we are resolutely behind this because none of us came here to be.
Is this a smart? No, it's not that she could be smart in her own like thing, you know, in English, but she has no finance backing. She does not know what the fuck she's doing.
Ministers, none of us wanted the baubles of office. We all want a better New Zealand for our children and children to be.
Are you able to give a few examples of some of those ministries that might be axed or merged together?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, for example, a whole lot of ministries that are there to represent a demographic of people. Those should be merged into arts, culture and heritage. We've seen an enormous amount.
That's stupid as fuck. The whole point of those ministries is to represent the concerns of those minority groups. If you merge them into arts, culture, and whatever, the whole point of arts, culture, I forget the last part, is to propagate those things that are in the ministry's name, not to address the concerns of like minority communities. I'd say to be smart, you'd have to know what you don't know, and she's she's just so oblivious that she can't even like know what she doesn't know. Yeah. Or is willingly trying to sabotage us. Nicola Willis did work for New Zealand Initiative before and Fonterra. She might not have entirely a financial education background. From what I understand, like she's basically economically illiterate. If you look at how she spoke about the budget and how she attacks labor spending policies, and the simple fact that like the finance minister thought, and then in a time of economic decline and unemployment, we need to cut public funding. I'm sorry, like they're just like it's just like thing after thing after thing after thing. And I'm like, you just have no understanding of economics, like fundamentally.
Of ministries that actually appear to do the same thing. You've already seen the government move with transport, regional development and housing into one ministry. You'll see a lot more of that right across the sweep of ministries.
And in terms of the party itself, in December last year you guys were polling at about 10%. The latest poll shows about 6%. What's going wrong and how do you plan on fixing it?
Well, first of all, you've picked one of the best polls we've had in recent times and the worst poll we've had in recent times. So I think that's probably an unfair, there has been perhaps some drop, but it's not that dramatic. The second
It's Barry at the pub being left alone with the pub.
of all, the ACT Party has had its head down doing the work while others have been out campaigning. From today, guess what, folks? We're out campaigning too.
So today is where it starts. This is the ACT Party in earnest kicking off its campaign.
Absolutely. Look, our job has been to if you look at the people behind me right now, Nicole McKee has the Arms Act in front of Parliament. Andrew Hogarth has the animal.
It is potential that could ACT slip below 5%. Yeah, like from what I understand, their polling numbers have been collapsing. It's like I bring this up a lot. Like right now with the polling numbers, there is no exchange or cross-pollination of votes right now. Right now, it's all intra-party conflict. So like Labour, Te Pāti Māori, and Greens are all fighting for the same voters, and National, NZ First, and ACT are all fighting for the same voters. And I'm just going to be real with you. A lot of ACT and National people are going to NZ First, That's like more depressing than anything. But yeah, I think actors lost out the most in like a percentage wise in like the polls. But I think mostly it's to do with the fact of that first year of governance where they basically like made themselves look like retards. I think that's the main reason why their polling numbers are dropping as drastically as they are. And I think, as I said, Peter just has way more charisma. Like to give Seymour credit, he's a very good demagogue. Like he's got his own political charisma for that kind of voting bloc. But yeah, like Winnie just has more. Anything that gives actor less power makes me happy. True. Look, whenever I look at those act polling numbers, I just go. I think it more of just expose themselves as base racist. Yeah. No, look, the problem is like, don't attach malice to their stupidity. They're not racist. They're just retarded. First are racist.
Agricultural and horticultural products bill. Brooke Van Velden has the health and safety legislation and the Holidays Act. We all have an enormous amount of work before the House. I've just had the law to transfer all regulation of ECE over to ERO. So we've had a huge amount of activity going on in the last few months. That doesn't get you voted in, but it's critical to do. I've had most of my time spent on getting the budget and getting us to surplus a year earlier. Now we're going to be out talking about it.
Can I ask you about where those polls are? Does this feel late to you? Are you late to the campaign?
No, we've tried being early, and that doesn't work so well either. So we think our timing is going to be just perfect.
Can I ask about this event?
It was a reaction, by the way, because obviously ACT's polling numbers have been going down quite a bit. So this entire thing was a reaction to that, to hopefully bolster support and get those polling numbers to go up.
There was some talk of this being an American-inspired event or compared to the Pierre pol+reacts campaign. What was the inspiration? What did you change? What were you happy about?
He thinks he's Goldilocks.
Well, our event was organised by a good friend of mine who I campaigned with in 2017. She moved to Canada. She worked for Pierre pol+reacts. She came home and she's actually organised this event. So, beg your pardon? Well, I've already said it's a she, so you don't need to say them. Look, I'm sure that she would be happy to talk to you, but I'm not going to start naming people like that.
Good friend. Also, remember, like, the person who worked with Pierre pol+reacts, a guy who lost in his election. So it's a loser we're bringing to government. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
But I'm not going to start naming people like that.
What's the touch of the Trump about it that wasn't there too? You've got the nicknames, you've got the lectures, the flag. It's not a big stretch to say that there was a Trump style to the rally too.
Oh, I'm sure that you would.
The Canadian Conservative just as bad at falling apart. An actor tried to use their playbook. Yeah, like ACT and First are bringing a lot of poisonous like MAGA stuff into our country. Yeah, I can imagine say yeah. It truly is like deplorable. Like these people have no pride in being Kiwis. They're just like copy pasting whatever these like conservatives are doing in America and like bringing it over here. It truly is deplorable.
Need to stretch it all, Rebecca, but nonetheless, I think if you look at the seriousness of the policy, the values that we bring, they're a million miles.
They've been trying to drag US politics. Yeah, like Modi, like just let me know. Like I swear to God, we never talked about trans issues in this country until when he started talking about bathroom politics. Like it just wasn't a thing. Period. I still remember the attack ads on Helen Clark. Yeah, but like I swear we never brought up trans issues fucking ever because it just wasn't an issue ever, and it shouldn't be, by the ways.
Apart. I mean, we've had people.
And they stole a pink color scheme from the German Free Democrat currently out of the German Parliament recently. Yeah, it's just so stupid, dude. The blatant like copy pasting they're doing.
Standing up saying, actually, we're here for New Zealanders of all backgrounds, whether they just migrated here or they've been here for 10 generations. I'm not sure you'd hear that at one of his rallies.
You had a couple of cracks.
I still think it shouldn't be a thing. It's a non-issue. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is a non-issue, but like, it was only brought in because of NZ First. Like, we never talked about this. Like, I'm sorry, I don't think about girl cock that often. It doesn't live in my head rent-free like that. Like, disability services, yeah.
It's obviously the Greens, Labour and Tea Party Māori, but was it Wiley Winnie?
Wiley Winnie, yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, I love working with Winnie, but you never know if you're going to be working with him for much longer.
Elaborate.
Well, as I said, there's a cartoon in Parliament where he said, are you sure you know which way he's going to run? That is always the risk. And I know that...
See, like, that's a good point. Like, what I can't... Okay, look, as much as I don't like the National Party and I don't want them in government, it's comically hilarious how stupid they are when it comes to this election strategy. Like, Luxon, I guarantee you, by the way, this wasn't the National Party's platform. Luxon just had an outburst because of the polling numbers and he was just feeling frustrated. He outwardly disavowed TOP, a coalition partner they could have used to deny Labour a government. And now we've got Seymour over here attacking Peters, who, by the way, NZ First will definitely gain at least a seat or two this next election from what they currently have. It is just... This entire coalition has such a stupid view on their electoral... It's breaking at the seams. It's amazing the ACT Party is a breakaway faction from the Labour Party. Yeah, they weren't a problem until a certain couple of parties started talking about how they caught... it's just so stupid, dude. Now suddenly, if you got no legs, you don't deserve housing and you can't afford... Yeah, again, these people just are like the embodiment of Satan.
He says he'll never work with Labour again. I'm sure he believes that right now. I just don't trust him all the way through.
You willing to give a chance if the National was Labour right?
Well, I think they have been in the past. What we've shown is that working with ACT, the National Party can actually do the right thing. And I gave you 4 examples where on the exact same piece of legislation, they've taken totally opposite positions depending on whether they work with ACT.
Are you willing to give a percentage chance that you think that St Peters would go with Labour?
No, I'm not a bookie. I think he's in charge of that.
Just on the other side of the country, Labour today announcing that
They're idiots. Never forget the world is held together by tape and stupidity. Whether that's idealistic or antagonistic stupidity depends on the person. I think I've lost sound of yours. I might try. You lost sound. Or is that? Never mind. But yeah, like it's just so stupid. Like this whole coalition is like falling apart at the seams. Like there's no unity. It's the most funny shit ever watching from the sidelines.
it will expand the apprentice scheme to 2 years if elected. What do you make of that?
Well, we all love apprentices, but an unfunded promise is no promise at all. The Labour Party needs to start putting the taxpayers' money where their mouth is, because at the moment they've gone from taxing and spending to promising to spend without knowing how they'll fund it at all.
I think a lot of sound on YouTube. I'm counting on your Twitch right now. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I don't know what my YouTube stream went down like 3 different times. I had to boot it up. Like I think early in the stream too, your messages were like coming up 2-3 times in a row. So some really good stuff, really bad stuff. What happened to ACT? What happened to most of ACT's policies? First of all, I'm going to ask you what policies, and then yeah, that we somewhat it's just so stupid. Like these people, like they'll treat taxing as like a. I talk about this a lot. Like we have to change, like as a society, our perspective on taxation. It shouldn't be viewed as a punishment or someone stealing something from you. It's a responsibility, like a civic responsibility you have as a patriot for your country, because you're putting into the system what it gave back to you. You weren't born in a hospital that was built by your grandfather. It was built by taxpayer money. Over 100 million for the treaty bill. Yeah, alone. Yeah, it was completely used for no reason too. That's the worst part. It was literally $100 million down into a black hole.
So, fine, it's a lovely idea, but show us the money.
They're also expanding the trades that qualify, including road construction, water treatment, and hairdressers. I think these trades should qualify construction, water treatment.
Simon, check my YouTube audio now.
No,
it seems to be good.
With the scheme. I just know that Labour's maths
I just checked it myself. It looks like it's coming through.
What they really should do is extend it to bookkeeping and accounting, so some of their future MPs can actually add things up.
But if they can find a way to fund it, are you broadly on board with what they're proposing?
The only way they're going to fund it is with the Greens' new taxes. That's the truth in this election.
By the way, a mate of mine, he forwarded me the Greens tax policy, and I read it for like an hour on stream. There's only 2 things I don't like about it. You go, no, okay, cool. The 2 things I don't like about it is the wealth tax and the rhetoric around it. Like, it was very Marxist coded language, which it's another form of poison I do not want in my country. But like the bank levy, the withholding tax, the new tax brackets, that was all awesome. For once, Seymour tells the truth. Yeah. But like the Greens tax policy stuff, that was actually pretty good. I liked like 80% of it. It was a pretty good thing. I loved especially the new brackets they're making for 10,000 under, because that's going to mostly hit a lot of people who are struggling and need every dollar. and students who obviously work part-time jobs, so it doesn't like they get more money to spend and not have to work so many hours to make up for it, you know, because obviously we want students to focus on studying.
You vote for Labour, the Greens or Te Pāti Māori, they are coming for your house, they're coming for your assets and they're coming for your income. Until they can balance a budget,
We are, okay? The left bloc, we're coming for everything you own. Because I'm sorry, if you have 10 houses and you pass it off to your grandsons when you die, society needs to take a chunk of that. I'm sorry, I have no sympathy for people who own like a fuck ton of assets and they're like, oh, actually I did this all on my own and I'm not going to pay into the system. Fuck you. Very, very politely. I've actually become a Greens voter mostly thanks to their released budgets. Every last one of them for the last 3 elections have been, yeah, well, like, look, this is a perspective we're not going to share, but I'm a proud Labour supporter. I believe that, look, Labour has its problems, especially with leadership in 2023. I felt like they kind of abandoned a lot of their left bloc quite a bit when it came to their policy incentives, but I think now Labour's starting to, with their new policies on transport cap or with their capital gain support and stuff like that, I think they're starting to come back more to what they were supposed to be. Like, I want a Labour government of like Helen Clark's time, basically, you know, pro-worker, pro-lower strata people, and pro-business. Like, a combination of these 3 things we need, because we need to grow the economy and we need to support the people who are less fortunate. So, like, you know, obviously, like, you know, I have a certain disdain is the wrong word. I think the Greens have the rhetoric in the past year or two has just been very like Marxist coded for me. So I don't tend to agree with a lot of this stuff. And some of their economic policy, like to put it like this, I actually am more bullish on the top party. I think the top party is basically the Greens party without the socialist rhetoric. Like, they're very good on progressive on taxes. They're very pro-business. They're pro on climate change. And they have good economic policy. Like, one of the things I hated about the Greens was during the Labour coalition, they started cementing existing gas lines, which really fucked over a lot of our farming and industrial sectors. Same with the families who own the mega farms, mostly to avoid triggering the treaty reacquirement. Well, yeah, it's some stupid shit. But like, obviously, you know, it's your democratic right to vote for who you want. But I'm a big guy. I want a Labour government with a supply and confidence agreement from the Greens, like, because a coalition of the Greens, because like the Greens will do their policy, and the problem is National will use the Greens policy to attack Labour with. So yeah, I'm very bullish on the Labour Party.
can't trust them one moment.
Are we going to get more Latin on the campaign trail?
Look, there's nothing wrong with a bit of Latin, you know. It might be a bit more Shakespeare too.
I was taught to mostly ignore the labels and go on the practicalities, like if the plans would actually... Yeah, but the problem is, like, for example, I don't think Labour would be against the tax bracket changes or the new taxes that are being implemented. It's like a philosophy thing. The problem is that I feel like Greens are trying to siphon more and more votes away from Labour and make their own, like, political movement, which is, like, they're right, but for stable governance, I think we need a stronger, like, centre-left party. Law politics, 70%. Yeah. No, you're right in that regard. But there was like a 30-minute interview that the Green Party leaders gave, Chloe Shrobrook, and I forget the name of the other one, but they used the words democratically controlling the economy, which is like an objective Marxist term. It's like not even that's not even hyperbole. So like I tend not to be a supporter of Greens for that very reason. I think they would, because of that perspective, easy for it to be turned into a political weapon, which means it's radioactive. No, Marama, thank you so much. But yeah, like, the problem is with Greens, like, because they have a very, like, a more left-leaning position, because, like, Labour is a very centre-left party. They attract moderates, independents, and people who are, like, left-leaning. So, you know, it's a pretty big tent party. But the problem is, like, when the Greens come in a coalition and there's a certain policy they're allowed to give because of that coalition agreement, those policies they give do not represent the Labour Party, but the National Party can use that as an attack on the Labour Party, and it's just a whole thing.
I don't know if you caught that, but now it's back in the curriculum. The sky's the limit.
You now have 2 people of Māori descent at the top of your party. Do you have a message for people or groups who have said in the past perhaps your policies are Māori-based or racist?
Well, those people have always been wrong, but I think Nicole's actually answered that very well in her speech.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we want a New Zealand where we're all joined together, we all have equal opportunities, and everybody is treated with the same amount of dignity. And I think that's something that every New Zealander should strive for, no matter what ethnicity you come from.
How was the deputy leader chosen?
The caucus had a vote, and that's set down in the constitution. The board has the option.
So you refused to answer and made the Brown... Yeah, no, again, it's deflection 101. Like, what do you expect out of these? people with intellectual deficiencies. That's ironic, yeah. Look, hey, you know what? One thing, Modi. You know, one thing you gotta think. Yeah, you gotta think about. We've become such an equal society, and you know, racism truly is going away. Because now, Modi people have the right to be retarded. We're starting to become equal, you know. Because, like, you know, back in the day, you know, someone like her would not be given the right to be that stupid, but here we are.
Of vetoing a caucus decision, but happily they decided not to.
Is it unanimous vote?
The vote was counted secretly, and so nobody will ever know. In fact,
Oh, I mean, mental health services.
for your interest, the person that counted the votes was only given 4 colours. That person didn't know which colour which MP was, and the person and the caucus didn't know what the votes were counted. So,
With all the secrecy, it seems pretty elaborate.
well, you know, sometimes the ACT Party. If you look at this ACT caucus, this is the most united, scandal-free caucus that you've seen in New Zealand politics this decade. We do things very carefully to be respectful of each other, and that's how we hold our team together. And I think that's something I'm truly proud of. You saw the send-offs that the party gave.
The problem is there's scandals and probably mostly tax fraud, in my immediate guess, right? And the problem is, like, the IRD isn't exactly the most funded thing under this government, so yeah, no wonder they haven't caught yet. Give him credit, he has kept his caucus. Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I would agree with you, Simon. Like, that's what I meant. Like, Seymour is a very good demagogue. Like, you can't take that away from him. Like, Winston Peters is charismatic, but he's a very good demagogue, and he's a very strong party whip. I still love the fact that David literally runs when Miharinga Forbes tried to question him. Yeah, but yeah, remember, like, once people like Winston Peters and Seymour leave their parties, like, I genuinely believe these parties will, like, just evaporate into thin air. See, under our previous ACT leadership, there was a scandal. Yeah, where one of the MPs actually stole a dead baby. Yeah, I remember this. But yeah, like, again, this guy's a very good demagogue and a strong party whip. Like, you can't take that away from him. That's just objectively the case. And Winston Peters, like, sometimes it's hard for him to control his party, but he's very charismatic. Like, these two guys, once they leave, it's over. In my personal opinion, for these two parties.
To Mark and Brooke, that's I think a sign that didn't come from nowhere. That's a sign of who we are as a group of people. The way that we treat each other is actually a pretty good sign of what our true aspirations are for all New Zealanders, despite what some of those critics that you quote may say.
Are you getting a bit emotional then seeing that video? How was that getting those comments?
Well, this is a fantastic group of people. I'm immensely proud of the country, the people in it, and this 11, of us.
I actually think ACT has more of a chance of surviving, and I think New Zealand First will collapse, and there will be new parties coming out of that. Yeah, I would actually tend to agree with you in that regard, because ACT has survived for a while. New Zealand First is a very new phenomenon. One of those two hired a very good social media coordinator. The others can't turn his phone volume down without help.
We believe in what we're doing, and why wouldn't we fight for this dear little country? And I did get emotional. I mean, I've loved being part of this group for 6 years. My kidneys are failing, and I'm on dialysis 3 days a week. I cannot, in good consciousness, go to work knowing that I've been paid by the taxpayer, not doing my job. And I'm deeply moved by that, because I'm going to miss this group. And what a wonderful family to be part of, and I genuinely mean it.
All right.
Mark Cameron, I do feel sorry for him having cancer, but he did just say horrible things about, yeah. Like, again, it just sucks, because, like, obviously you should have sympathy for people, but, like, when they do outlandishly, like, demonic shit, it's, like, it's just so hard to actually have that sympathy. But yeah, I do feel sad for the guy. I truly do. Because, like, yeah, no matter what people's political inclinations are, you need to stay sane in a liberal society and, like, acknowledge that, people are suffering. Okay, NZ First is going to collapse, but it'll take Winnie's funeral to do it. Yeah, no, that's what Simon was responding to. Is that, like, if once, like, Seymour and Winnie, like, leave the party, or, like, meet a certain fate, I think New Zealand First will evaporate. And I think, to Simon's credit, ACT won't, like, go away, but it will take a significant hit in popularity, because I think Seymour is just a very big figure. Because, like, I honestly could not, like, minus Brooke and this new gun lady, I could genuinely not give you the names of, like, any ACT, like, MPs.
At this point, there were colours, so somebody surely...
No, yeah, Winston will never retire. Like, he will need to, like, he will need to Because, like, yeah, the man is like a career politician through and through. Like, I think if you genuinely pull him out of the beehive, he'll, like, evaporate. Like, that's how connected to that thing he is.
I wish sometimes I mention something and I think I probably shouldn't mention this, but so what?
I mean, the person that counted the colours will see what the key was. So somebody knows.
No, because the person that did the counting didn't know which colour linked to each MP.
Laura MP from ACT, the one who made the deep fakes of herself to try to promote build a band deep fake porn might potentially be future ACT leader. Yeah, like I'm gonna tell you right now, if she takes power, oh my god, the attack. Like if Labour and the Greens don't use like those scandals just to keep attacking ACT on that when she takes leadership, I'm gonna start losing faith in those two parties, because it's just the most easiest shit to attack that anybody who's got a sane mind would find deplorable.
Yeah, well they know now, obviously.
Four colours, does that mean there were 4 candidates?
I just gave that as an example number.
How many colours?
Well, look, if you're trying to ask, are we the new Rainbow Party?
Always happy.
I'm trying to find out.
Always happy.
I'm trying to find out how many candidates for deputy.
There were 4. So, yeah. All right. Well, look, thank you very much for that fascinating stand-up, and I appreciate all of you guys coming along and covering our rally. Thank you. Cheers.
Well done.
All right, that wasn't that bad. It was a bit retarded, but it's whatever. Okay. Wayne Brown is my goat. Okay? But I have to listen to Winston Peters. This is a very torturous decision I'm putting on myself. Oh, so ACT didn't even try. Okay.
Our government and all my life have just been managing the decline.
Do you remember when they were boasting under John Key that we were a rock star economy?
I think they said a rock oyster economy. You just didn't hear properly.
I told you when you got this job.
Yes, the Wayne Brown interviews have been actually quite interesting to watch. I enjoyed the Winston Peter interview. Yeah, I actually want to Wayne hate ACT. Yeah, lol. That it's conspicuous. I will say, as an Aucklander, I love Wayne Brown as a mayor. The man is very practical. I love the fact that he actually has a technical background in engineering, because it means that he understands the need for infrastructure in the city. And honest to God, I think discussions like these, because I think I'm going to be real with you. I think local councils need more power. We need to decentralize the economy. I think GST sharing, like I don't like a lot of ACT stuff, but I think the GST sharing thing is actually a very good policy. And how long it actually takes, yeah. But I think GST sharing is a very good policy ACT has floated. I think Labour should pick this up, because I think we should be empowering our councils more when it comes to local funding and not needing to always ask for the beehive for literally everything. And also I think, local MPs and people who control these local electorates need to have more decision-making power, so that people get more involved in the local elections, because they feel like it actually means something and not just representation in the beehive.
We've got the worst job in the world. If we don't turn this around, we're going to look like Venezuela.
Parties to do. Auckland's deal with Wellington we're going now open with. Auckland's a third of the country, 40% of the GDP. Wellington still treats us like we're a problem to manage rather than a grown-up city capable of making its own decisions.
I'm just telling you, as an Aucklander, I fucking love Wayne Brown. Dude, he makes me feel so proud of my city.
If New Zealand First is in government after the election, what actual changes for Auckland?
Well, there's a change happening now to a lot of councils, because we're taking away unelected iwi representation. And what we're saying, that everybody's equal. If you want to be on the council, stand for an election, and everybody will get the same rights. But
I think it could work, but would have to be regionally tied due to how much work the regions in some cities Christchurch and Welly really need. Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, what should happen? These are the two things I've been thinking about. Either you have a local council GST on top of the normal GST, but that obviously is an extra burden, or you just make it so that the GST collected from the government is less, and some is left to local council, so that they can do some local funding stuff, and they don't need to keep asking for. Because, like, for example, like obviously National came in and cut everything, which also cut funding for local councils. But if these local councils have a part of the GST they keep, that's a war chest they can use for local development while the central government blows its brains out, basically.
Municipality that's missing out at the moment on that change is Auckland, and you've got a body set up that's unelected, and we're going to do that by a supplementary order paper. We're going to fix that as well before the election.
That's not really the problem we've got with Auckland, though, in some ways.
Like, again, too, I love Wayne Brown because, like, obviously he has his own political dispositions, but, like, when the iwi stuff was brought up, I remember him phoning into, like, a radio show, and he was so fucking angry because he's like, there are so many problems in Auckland, this is not the fucking problem, why are we talking about this? So, yeah.
More sensible than the former national MPs I've got.
Well, some of them are former national MPs. That's the problem.
Okay, well, anyway,
they didn't show any sense of common sense when they were in Parliament.
The issue there is it's a war chest, though those have never been sacred to National and Act. Yeah, but like that's what I mean. Like, I think this is just something we have to get through government because like local councils need to be empowered, especially if we want people to be more engaged with council elections and mayoral elections like this. That's like the big thing. Because like think about the incentive, right? When you vote in a mayor, the mayor controls the rates. So ratepayers are more likely to vote because they're in their interest to vote. Now, who do you think ratepayers are going to vote for? A guy who wants to increase rates or decrease them? And if these local regions purely run off rate funding, and you're decreasing the rates actively because of the political incentive, you're fucking the local regions over. Or return on actual communities. A lack of community brings disengagement. Yeah. No, what I'm trying to say is like you like look at like for example like. You can say what you want about American politics because of how local all the politics is, from the districts to the congressional seats to the states and then eventually to the federal government. Every single person is hyper like engaged with their communities and they understand what's going on. So I think local funding is one of the few things we can do to get people actually engaged with local politics, not just going to the booth every 3 years to vote for whatever party or whatever.
So what's the one thing Wellington needs to get out of the way of?
Well, this decision-making that is happening in Wellington is totally inappropriate because Auckland, of its size and of its industrial and commercial growth, is best to answer many of its own problems. Instead of being facilitated in its growth by Wellington, it's been hampered by it. That's your number one problem.
I agree.
And then the extraordinary delays that go with that.
Oh, fair enough. That's good. Okay, rates CRL and who pays. So the rates are going up by 7.9% in Auckland this year. It'll only be 3.5% next year, but do you understand why?
Yeah, but that's including the massive amount of consumer propaganda. Our turnout locally is abysmal. Most complain but don't. No, it's not about propaganda. Truly, people do not care. People just like to bitch and they never actually like do anything about it. Like no one wants to put in the time, the research, the effort, and I don't even blame them. It truly is like a amount of time put in thing to even understand. Like, you don't even get like a basic understanding of any policy. You need to at least read for like 30 minutes. So people will just get like talking points from whatever media and then just like talk about that. Local councils get lack of media coverage elections and trying to figure out who is decent enough to vote for was very So what I'm trying to say is like, for example, if you paid an extra GST or you knew part of your GST went to the local councils, I think that gives the average person like a bigger financial incentive, which is the biggest way, by the way, is of getting people to care. Taxes, like someone taking your money away. That's a really good way of getting people engaged in the actual local system, and at the same time giving utility to local governments to develop their regions independent of the beehive. Because we all know that sometimes the beehive can just blow its brains out on the floor because they decided to do something retarded, and then the whole country is fucked. The complete cookers getting into local government shows what having a lack of community allows in a full one where everyone knows everyone's reputation. The thing is, like, Wayne Brown is a very good example of like a miracle. Like, this guy should not have gotten in government because like all the ratepayers hated him, but for some reason he got elected. I truly do not know why. But like people like him are far and few, and we need to create systems to allow people like him to get elected throughout New Zealand. because you need to fund your councils, you know, like, and currently as it is, rates are the only way. And obviously, as I said, like, since the ratepayers are the only ones really who are affected by council elections, obviously they're going to come out for support of people who want to turn down rates. It's just a natural like incentive, and a natural like pathway. So yeah, I think adding like a GST sharing program or adding a separate council GST would turn out an investment for just normal people to also come out to these elections and be more engaged. But when people are thinking only for themselves and their own families, not their next door neighbors, yeah, the problem is like what you're describing is what I call a moral voter. And I don't mean moral in the sense of like they're just objectively good people, but like I remember I was in a voice call for a Labour door knocking campaign strategy thing. And what really depressed me was that everybody who was asked about why they decided to join Labour or vote for Labour or campaign for Labour, it all had to do, like a story had to do with something that had happened to them. They had a come to Jesus moment. I was the only one in that room where like I'm middle class, I've got a pretty good life, my family's together, but like I was like, you know what? I think Labour's got a better vision for the country, so I want to vote for Labour. Or you end up like Christchurch with Barry. Yeah. GST sharing is kind of New Zealand first and export. Yeah, it is, but like sometimes you have to recognize good policy and take it. Like it is your civic duty as a politician, even with your policy platform, to look at good policy and adopt it. Like there is no such thing as stealing policy. If a policy truly is objectively good, you should be talking about it. So I think GST sharing is a very good policy. It personally affected them or someone. No, it personally affected like something happened in their lives and then they got engaged in politics. I find that a little bit depressing that people can't empathize with other people. Like they have to have a come to Jesus moment and then they get politically activated. So like those people you're talking about, like the moral voters, they're very far and few between. What I'm saying is that engagement increases when those circles get wider. No, like I agree with you. I do agree with you, but like in the macro and like the wider scope, if you attach a financial incentive to vote for local stuff and pay attention more to local stuff, people will turn out more. Because I think it was something abysmal. Like I think it was like 70% of the people who came out to vote in the mayoral elections are like ratepayers or something. It was like some abysmal statistic. And central government would be better pay their own rates for their buildings in their own city. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Why we did that?
Well, look, I followed with close proximity and clarity the rates increases. I know Whanganui, for example, or Wanganui, when it was in the good old days before somebody tried to change its name, is at 2.2 rates increases. Then you've got some going at 35%. We don't take the view that there should be a rates cap like some parties. What we're saying is if you want rates to be reflective of what the expenditure should be, given the costs to ratepayers, then take some serious attention to who you put on council. Don't get the wrong council and then start comparing.
Sorry, I'm messed up my previous message. I wouldn't say it's moral so much. It's self-interest too. I want my mate's business to get bigger so I can get a job or fulfill a contract for them, not have them struggle to pay rates or rent again. Keep in mind, when I say moral voter, like I don't know if you know much about philosophy, but like there's a term called normative language where like people will say a word but they attach other words to it which aren't actually said. So like if I call you greedy, that's just me saying objectively that like you're just like taking a lot of stuff you don't need. But we also attach the word "you're a terrible person" to that, but that's not said. When I say moral voter, I don't mean like a good person. What I'm trying to say is like someone who could like, without something happening to them or like being self-interested, be like, this is a better direction for the country, and I feel like just from that philosophy, I want to vote for this or do this. But I get what you're saying with this message. You know, like, yeah, like in the macro, people are just usually self-interested. That's what politics is. It's all a game of incentives, and what incentives will lead you down to vote whatever. That's kind of the big thing.
About the outcome. A la Wellington, what a circus that's been.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. Well, basically, they were putting out because that's 7.9% is exactly the cost of City Rail Link. So we've got a 0% rise plus a train, which costs too much in here. Do you think that at $5.5 billion for 3.5 km City Rail Link was good value?
No, it's appalling. It was an appalling waste of money. A extraordinary amount of money spent in the same way that has happened over and over for the last 40 years in this country. This has become the cost plus country. There's only two exceptions to that. One is a standout example. It's the second Tauranga Harbour Bridge was built under cost and on time. as
And
a
the
standard.
Auckland Hospital, when I was in
And
charge.
the Auckland Hospital is the only other one. In 40 years, that's it.
That's it.
That's shocking, isn't it?
Oh, amazing, really. And
That's what. But that's why you got all this rates problems. Every time these people, these consultants, these businessmen, these lawyers, they all know the ratepayer and the taxpayer is an easy rip-off, and there's nobody to stop them, like a wise, practical central government or wise local government. And that's a big challenge for us in 2026. But do this, we must.
I like that. Okay, people are sick of money disappearing into processes. Reports layers. People.
Tauranga Bridge had tolls on it, and they overcharged the tolls longer than they were meant to. Oh shit. That's wait, Tauranga Bridge had tolls on it, and they overcharged the tolls longer than they were meant to. Overcharges, and like, did they have like what, increased prices, or they kept the tolls on longer than they were supposed to? Like, what do you mean by that?
Clippings, we're just talking about that now. How do you...
meant to only have the tolls... Oh, okay, got you. All right. Oh, was there like a reason for this? Was there like some sort of bureaucratic mishandling, or what was the... Do you know why that happened?
How would you embed a better, faster, cheaper mindset across the government? I've nearly got that happening here. You hear people say better, faster, cheaper. They never would have said that in their lives before they heard me say it.
Well, the only way you can do it in 2026 is to get rid of Tweedledum and Tweedledee. You know what they are, don't you? It's National Labour swapping it for the last...
I'm not sure what happened with that. It's something to do with the council, yeah. But this is what I mean. Like, remember, like when you fund bureaucrats, the whole point of bureaucrats is to get government to work properly. So, like as I said previously, it's like the irony is like a bigger government is more efficient. So, like when you fund these councils, you allow these councils to have funding regardless of what the beehive does. It'll create more efficient local councils. Like we do need to decentralize our economies. I think for a more functioning modern economy, this is what's needed. Like just look at China, for example. All the provinces have their own funding and their own developmental councils. So you do need to decentralize these things if you want to have a more pragmatic approach to infrastructure and governance.
40 years and making a mess of things. What has happened in the last 40 years? Well, they've had control in every respect. And I know it's an MMP environment, but they've had control in every respect. What are the good things that they have left compared to the things that other parties have done, for example? And it's been a massive hamstrung. And what we're saying in this election is, this is a now or never. This is an inflection election. If we don't turn this around, we're going to look like Venezuela or Myanmar. So make up your mind in 2026.
Yeah, well, basically, our government and all my life have just been managing the decline.
Yeah, it's that.
Not good.
Oh, well, but how could you have the dough? Do you remember when they were boasting under John Key that we were a rock star economy? A rock star economy.
Winston has spent 40 years with Labour and National... Yeah, like, again, like, Simon, we've talked about this. It's just so fucking hilarious that this guy can gaslight the people. It's like, he's acting like he's... Like, okay, look, Trump is a retard, but at least Trump truly was a guy who entered politics for, like, the first time when he did in 2016. Winston's acting like that. It's like, oh, I'm a new figure and I'm here to change everything. This guy was managing the decline. He was part of that decline. He was part of it.
Economy growing at what? 3%.
I think they said a rock oyster economy. You just didn't hear properly.
No, they said a rock star economy, and I'm sitting there thinking,
rock oyster.
These people are nuts. Yeah, but even now we got Labour and National arguing about 1 or 2% growth rate. That's not enough for the children who are leaving school and going into the adult life. You've got to go at 3% plus. So we know we've got to have some dramatic change, and we.
He was the literal kingmaker of the decline in that rock star. Yeah, no, like that. Like it's truly amazing how, like, I'll never stop talking about it even after this guy leaves politics. It's truly amazing that the New Zealand, like part of the New Zealand electorate, fell for his messaging, because like he hates career politicians. He is one. He hates economic decline. He managed one. He hates corruption. His own people do it. He hates mismanaged taxpayer funds. His own people do it. Like it's everything he claims. It's a projection of what him and his party does. It's fucking hilarious.
Can get there, but the levels of productivity got to change. The level of added value got to change, and the waste has got to happen as well. It must got to stop happening as well.
The number one thing that Auckland has appealed off is traffic and getting the city moving. And will you give Auckland more control over transport planning and funding?
I will if you don't outlaw the car.
That's part of transport.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't think so. I mean, I told you when you got this job, you got the worst job in the world. You're facing the city that's been mucked about by bureaucrats, hostile to two things.
Coming from a bureaucrat, by the way.
In Auckland, it's apparent to me, and I'm.
And Winston Peter was the treasurer of. Yeah, no, he was. Yeah. Like nothing. Everything this guy says is projection, to like to the highest degree.
I'm a long-standing Aucklander since I grew up as a young lawyer.
Maybe productivity would have increased if his government didn't shut all the businesses down for their tax revenue desperation. Yeah. Like, remember, it's the big F word of politics. If you want to do anything, like, period, you need to fund stuff. Like, it's just basic addition. All right? Funding plus implementation equals productivity and growth. The conversation stops there. No government has had an amazing economy by not spending money on anything. You can't name a single one. So yeah, like, it's just stupid shit. Like, and obviously he brought up, like, Wayne Brown talked about, like, will you guys help us fund rail? And Winston talked about, oh, if you want ban cars, that's a dog whistle for, like, we don't want you building rail. We want more highways and more traffic congestion.
In Queen Street and Queen Street Lawyer and all those things we used to have, hostile to small business and hostile to cars. The outcome is appalling in Auckland.
It stops there, as does the Callaghan Foundation and NZ. Yeah, no, agreed.
And they haven't been that helpful to trains either, but I'm a great believer in shifting stuff off trucks onto trains.
Wayne Brown should have said this, because this was a gay and retarded point. I mean, Winston Peters thinks trains are gay and retarded. For a road, people will have to pay to try, yeah. And while being tracked, yeah. Like, keep in mind, there's rail, road are just forms of transportation. You need roads for trucks and for private transport if you're trying to get to multiple destinations. But if you're just trying to get from your home to the CBD to your workplace and then back, you can do that on a train. It's cost effective, long term it's very good, and it just cuts down commuting time. This is basically grumpy old man show. Yeah. Like, to be fair, Wayne Brown is like the king of grumpy old men. This guy, like, if he doesn't like you, he will let you know. He does not hide his disdain for people.
Yes, no,
more effective
we'll get the trains going to the mass, go to everything else, but also, who says I'm going to go to Queen Street and see what's going on? No one's saying that anymore. Guess why? Because you're not allowed to go to Queen Street. You're allowed
We
to
are
drive.
working on that.
You're allowed to most in a difficult
But
way.
what I need is people to get out of my road from Wellington.
Yes, I know, but also, how shall I say it? I went to Wanganui recently and I thought, this is fantastic. I want to go to that restaurant. I can park the car there and walk inside and go to the restaurant. It was almost unique if I compare Auckland and Wellington.
Wayne Brown especially does not like ACT, I've noticed because remember, ACT, you have to, Wayne Brown understands this is a man who's not stupid as fuck. You need funding to do shit, because Auckland as a city is so huge in New Zealand. If you just build roads, rail, and electricity, the economy will grow by itself. If you just allow the economy to grow, it will grow here. So, like, the reason why this man despises ACT is because it's the one party. Like, all the other parties may finagle around with the funding stuff, and they might do some retarded shit, but, like, ACT will take away funding from councils. So, like, he despises ACT. Monorail money, yeah. Yeah, but, like, the Wayne Brown is like, I'll never take any shade on him, because, like, he is a very competent mayor, without a doubt. He understands the need for infrastructure in Auckland.
The hostility to small business and cars knows no bounds, and Wellington's paying a massive price for it now.
Right, we're the economic engine. We've got more than 1,300 startups. Companies like Rocket Lab and Holter are doing well. What's your plan to make Auckland a higher wage, higher productivity city?
Well, that's a very, very good question, but you can make all the statements out you like, but if you don't change the policies of...
Crazy thing is, ACT gets most of its votes in Auckland. Rocket Lab was hardly a startup. Yeah, well, to be fair, it was a lot of local Kiwis who had a certain level of ingenuity and a certain level of skill. It was obviously it was like, the problem is our government doesn't fund anything. Like, if we did get funding, it would have been a startup. But obviously foreign funding had to come in because it was the only way they could start up their shit. The problem is, I think with the ACT thing, I think it's just because there's so many people in Auckland. I think that's the main reason. I don't think actually, because maybe if you look at the per capita stats, it might be lesser or probably the same where they get in other electorates. not when they had billions backing. Yeah, but like the problem is like to do these like rocket tech is not easy, and it is very high paying. They support high paying jobs, and it leads a lot of research and development. The problem is in New Zealand, we spent 1.9% of our GDP in R&D, so like they needed to receive that funding from elsewhere because it could not have happened otherwise. So like Rocket Lab is a perfect example of why we need to spend more in R&D. By the way, because Kiwis, if you give them the opportunity, they will do things. But like Rocket Lab was just like the only one that got out of the trenches and was able to do its thing. We also don't get access to that R&D. Well, yeah, because remember, like if the government gave that money to Rocket Lab, that would have been under the umbrella of New Zealand. But they had to get like Rocket Lab was not going to stop their operations because they never got funding. They were obviously going to find funding from somewhere else. This is why I argue for more spending on R&D, because we need more intellectual capital. We need to give Kiwis a chance who want to be who want to boost our ingenuity and to boost our productivity. We have to give them a chance to give them a leg to stand on. Instead, we give them subsidies. Yeah, well, it's a hard conversation to have with Rocket Lab because they do support high-paying jobs locally here in New Zealand, and we have a facility for rocket tech. But I'm hoping, and for some reason, cut the count. Yeah, again, it's just like we live in stupidity right now. Like this government's not going to fund shit. So again, like Labour needs to come in, and we need to start actually looking at these fundamentals of our economy and why. Like the easiest reason why productivity is not rising is not the only thing is R&D. You spend more on R&D, productivity will rise. It's a very simple equation.
We've been pursuing recently, or for the last 10, 15, 20 years or 30 years, we're going to go nowhere. Take, for example, the gaming industry. The game industry is like Rocket Lab. They're brilliant. There's all these bright young New Zealanders who are super smart. I don't know how we uniquely happened to do it, but we know we did have Rutherford. Then we got the Rocket Lab. We got all these smart business people in this country, and young business people in particular. Instead of incentivise their staying, we let Australia just attract them away from us by incentivising them coming to Australia. We've got to be mad to do that. And we want to turn that around. But the number of things the other parties will not answer is this country is sort of a future fund.
We look into pre-funding too, so all the research groups don't have to shut up shop and go looking. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like remember, like we have to incentivize not only the funding itself, but also the establishment of all of that here. We need to develop more intellectual capital. Future Fund from Labour would yes, agreed. I saw their post on Instagram actually before I got on stream, and yeah, like you need to establish these things because it's like a long-term thing. You can't just like throw some cash or something and fix an issue. These are long-term infrastructures you need to build up so you can support a generation of people who would eventually go to the future and do stuff. Like these things are long-term. What I'm telling you is like a 10 to 30-year plan. You can't like snap into existence, so it's better to start now than never.
Of between $1 and $200 billion, and we need it tomorrow. Now, you find that with a group of men and women businessmen, not politicians. The last people you want running this is the businessmen and our politicians.
Who's this guy again? Is he a businessman or a politician? We also need to sort the protection of long-term funding. We've learned that, yes, I completely agree with you. It's but again, we can't have this conversation with this current government because their brains are all over the fucking floor in Parliament right now. So yeah.
Our plan is to have that money and the right group of men and women, place after place, handling our asset value in the future, and then you'll stand around and watch Auckland turn around and grow. It'll take off.
Well, in fact, I started a tech alliance here because the government didn't know how to do that. And so I just need the government to support me, not invent it, and compete, please.
No, I'm just saying I understand that. Because guess what? I spent 2.5 hours one time with a guy called Lee Kuan Yew. I kind of think he knew more about how to run an economy than half the so-called experts I keep on hearing these days.
I don't disagree with that. I'm going up there next week anyhow, and that whole example of Tim Asik is brilliant. Exactly how we should run our SOEs, but I nearly had Labor agreeing to do that, then in came Stephen Joyce and wrecked it.
Yeah, nevertheless, but I must say this, but we need Labor to understand that as well.
Oh, well, they almost did, actually.
Labour will, because the philosophy that Labour has as a party is more accepting of these kind of ideas. Like, the problem is, like, if you ever propose anything that has to do with funding anything to national, their ministers will throw up and pass out. They're not capable of thinking about funding anything, period.
Here's something they do understand that Act doesn't, which is events, tourism and the midnight levy. So would you support the midnight levy in Auckland, which all those hoteliers there want me to collect it to get big events going, but Act doesn't like it? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, of course you can have the midnight levy. After all, you're trying to run the thing. But the other side of the coin is I wouldn't be finding 75 million while I find how to bring the guy Williams here.
Oh, I'm totally.
I wouldn't be supporting that, mate.
We've got, me too.
No, I agree with the bed levy. That'll be far cheaper.
We've got plenty of our own tattooed singers. But we lost. I'm really angry that as a result of the current Minister of Tourism that we lost.
I recently read Lee Kuan Yew's biography. He was very impressive, maybe a little bit of an authority. No, he was an authoritarian, objectively. The thing is that Lee Kuan Yew is the perfect example of, like, authoritarianism is like that meme of, like, the plane that comes back to dock that has a lot of holes in it and people reinforce. I forget what the fallacy is called. But, like, it just so happened to be that he was a competent man, but he wasn't authoritarian. He ran a lot of his shit very authoritarianly. He was a very big, like, iron fist kind of guy. But he just had the mindset for liberal economics, understanding that you needed to do capital grants, build infrastructure, attract foreign capital. Like, he just knew that. But, like, if you just change his ideological disposition, Singapore would not be in the position where it was. But again, Singapore is a good example. Like, urban development, rail transport, high density housing. It's just a perfect example of, like, what you need to do for making a prosperous city.
Sale GP.
It's very funny. Got Robin Williams. Yeah.
It's not only an interesting event that brings people around the world, it's actually an open window onto our marine tech industry. And we lost it.
But take a grip here. We've lost Sail GP, right? We used to have Formula One. We lost that. We lost the sevens. How many times do we have to keep on losing before people realise the people running the country don't know what they're doing?
No, those are city decisions.
Yes.
I want permissive legislation.
Yeah, you're quite right.
Okay.
And how you lost Sail GP is beyond me.
Well, it's a combination of Act opposing the midnight levy and
you guys
appointing a minister.
You guys voted for Act. You got Act in Auckland all over the darn place. I mean, you pay a price when you start experimenting.
Don't blame me for that.
They've been around They've been around as long as New Zealand First, and they've been in government how many times? Once.
Oh, that's too often.
That's not expected.
Auckland has bills coming.
I fucking love my mayor, dude.
I mean, lots of things we should have built years ago. Taxes going to superannuation and health. Everyone promises infrastructure. How'll your party pay for Auckland's future without raking up?
Dude, I'm telling you, look, I fucking do. Wayne Brown is like, he's got the white old man humor, and it's the fucking best, dude.
The bill for the next generation, because, and this is the main thing, our superannuation is heading for a cliff. How do we fix that?
Who wrote that?
I was asking here.
Well, you tell that person who wrote that person there. It's 5.2% of our GDP, which is about half what most countries' problems are. So it's not even a problem yet. And then we got the Cullen.
By the way, I bring this up in stream a lot. The reason why Winston Peters will never acknowledge that superannuation is a problem because half of his voter base are old people and the other half are young people who are racist. So if he starts talking shit about superannuation, it'll start to turn off his voter base who are old as fuck. And this is actually one of the weird things. I'm surprised this hasn't happened yet. And Auckland regionalist parties in New Zealand politics could do very well. But as I said, it's just an incentives thing. NZ First voter base is that half of them are old as fuck, and the other half are just racist young people who don't know what the fuck politics is even about. But when it comes to like KiwiSaver, there's like only two things you can really do. It's either you make it so the employer legal matching is higher, which I think National has already put as like a reactive policy to their collapsing poll numbers, so like 6% in 2032, if I remember correctly. And so the legal matching goes up, meaning more Kiwis are willing to match higher, which put more money to the system. Or you reduce the age. There's only two options there. I guess that makes me lucky. I'll never get to super age, so it's relevant to me. True.
Which is $92 billion to to cover the rising costs in the future. Of course, nobody mentions that from the National Party NAC point of view, and guess why they don't mention it? Because they don't tend to use it for the purpose of smoothing out the rising costs of the baby burners. And the baby burners, might I tell you, are all here now. They're all retired now. And here comes the real rub, though. They're not mentioning the $92 billion because they intend to privatise it and not use it for its purpose. It's not a worry. Here's the reason what I say to them is, stop looking at the old and the young because of your economic failure. Get out of the road and let somebody else run the economy properly. We wouldn't be worried about this.
Good answer. Right. What's the one thing Auckland would notice within 3 years because you're having strong influence there?
They'd be heading towards a 5% growth economy, and they'd be certainly saluting that.
That's a pretty good answer. Since Trump discovered the Straits of Hormuz, we've had a useful reminder that energy resilience actually matters. What's your party's plan to keep the lights on and fuel moving when the global supply chain gets shaky?
Look.
The answer is the investment to green tech. That is the only answer, by the way.
Hard at our country. We are resource rich in energy. Start exploiting it.
Okay, so he's retarded. Nice. Okay, cool. At least we clarified this.
Yeah, and are we allowed to go mining still?
Yeah, if we're going to be going mining, the moment we can cut past the Greens and get to the working class people of this country and let those working class people know that their future is now being hindered by these people who live in the leafy suburbs, who won't visit you in 1,000 years and want to run the country the way Geneva thinks rather than the way Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, or dare I say it, the provinces think.
Very good indeed. Thank you very much for this rapid fire. Last time you used a hop card. Have you used a hop card?
He hasn't. He hasn't. Because this motherfucker is an elitist. He's an elitist career politician. He hasn't used a cop card, I would even say, in his fucking life. I don't even think he's seen a hop card.
A driver?
No, well, I have used the hop card, but I just went to Waiheke Island on the ferry.
Okay.
Naughty.
The gold card, see.
I used the hop card to go to Ponsonby last night. Bus, train, ferry, bike, walk or car?
The whole lot.
Good. Apartment, townhouse or...
Being asked to walk somewhere genuinely fried his brain. He could not conceive not taking a limo somewhere.
Villa.
You mean where I live?
Well, no, just you. Just
One
your
villa.
options.
Villa.
He got a villa, ladies and gentlemen, round the corner for where I've got an apartment, just in case. We're almost neighbours, really, and we actually coexist.
But I love the character of parts of Auckland.
But you can have more. You can have the character part and have an apartment right in the middle of it. I've got one.
Well, yes, I know. As long as you don't get them both screwed up, so that these beautiful villa areas that are unique and quaint in all parts of Australasia get built out, so they've got no sunlight, no nothing.
What he just said was, I don't want you poor people fucking over my luxury housing. Get these poors away from me. This guy's such an elitist, dude. He's such a fucking elitist. It's not even fun. Like, I genuinely don't know how he thinks what he's saying is okay.
Be very careful.
All right. EV, hybrid or petrol?
It's petrol.
Good on you.
Or diesel, actually.
Oh, awesome. He's even worse, dude. Okay.
Well,
I've got an EV and a hybrid and a diesel.
But I got to drive a hell of a distance, so, you know.
True.
You got to make it back.
You got a driver. I don't get a driver. Piss me off. Name an Auckland volcano.
No. I drive ourselves when it's private.
Yeah, I realise that, but I had a guy who'd risen to the dizzy heights of being the Minister of Consumer Affairs recently, who announced that he has a driver's.
It was good enough to get Lux in the government somehow. Yeah, but I mean, like Winston is trying to like LARP as like a guy of like who's like he's trying to LARP as like I am for the working class, you know, the oppressed working class that the Greens and Labour are looking after. But he's the biggest fucking elitist in the world. That's not even fun. Like genuinely being asked to walk somewhere fried his fucking brain. He could not comprehend the question.
He could take me home from football, and I didn't have one, and I thought, oh, that's okay. Name an Auckland volcano that's not Rangitoto or Mount Eden.
Go to Mangere.
There you go. One piece of Auckland infrastructure besides a stadium that makes you proud.
One piece of Auckland infrastructure like the stadium that makes me proud.
Not a stadium, something else.
I can't quite answer the question other than say I frequently fly back over the city, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful city. Auckland, and we still live in a beautiful country. You look from the air, it's beautiful. You think, how can so many things been going wrong with such a beautiful place?
Well, my answer, that was the bridge. I think the Harbour Bridge is bloody
Yeah, I was going to say the
it's
Harbour
been
Bridge is like
on
the
for
obvious
years.
thing, right?
This bridge is incredible.
It'll stay for years. It's
you know,
well designed. And
all
big
these young people
stages.
they got.
So leaving it. What do you mean by that, Maori?
Nobody remembers Nippon Clip-On.
That's clever.
Yeah, nobody remembers, but this bridge was expanded by the Japanese.
Yeah.
And I do support your idea going north, going across Miola Reef, because all the other ones are massively expensive and costly as anything.
And don't solve the problem.
No.
Good boy. If you could take a sledgehammer to one...
It's called Winston. Good boy. Fuck, I do. I love my bear so much, man.
Well, no, one guy just told me just in the last 24 hours that these people can actually build another bridge right next to that bridge.
What for? Why would you do that?
Well, the question I thought was, now, okay, so what's your roading going to look like, though?
Yeah, but that's something.
Forget about the bridge. How about the roading now?
The traffic jams at either end of the bridge, not on the bridge.
That's where the cost's going to come.
Of course.
When it's all over, it'll blow out.
Basically dumb, you're right.
It'll blow out just like the ferries. They bought 2 massive ferries. The infrastructure cost was 80% more.
His answer was, when I get on a plane and see it, I wonder how something so bad and a dude had a bit of a dementia and forgot the city. Oh, you know, yeah, I don't think he actually knows much about the city. Like, the Harbour Bridge is just...
What'd you knock down?
Oh, actually, this is not an architectural masterpiece city. I have to tell you, I'm rather saddened by that. I mean, Adrian Burr is sadly dead now, but Adrian Burr did build some seriously architecturally well-designed buildings in the city.
I liked Adrian Burr.
They're standout buildings, and I thought, why didn't we have an architectural standard of that?
But he wasn't an architect. He was a thoughtful developer.
He was.
Good guy. He was the best.
But I looked at all his architectural buildings and I thought, construction, I thought, that is what Auckland should be looking like. Imagine that had been applied 40, 50 years ago.
Well, there's a couple for me there. I'd knock down the bloody St. James. We're wasting a whole lot of money keeping that shitty old building up again, so it'll lose more money, but then again, I'll probably lose votes.
Well, that's where the Beatles were when they came here years ago, you know.
I was a part owner of that.
That's where the Beatles were. They're upstairs waving out to everybody. Don't you remember that?
No, that was in the town hall they waved out of that because I was there.
Yeah.
I used to own that, part owner of the St. James. We couldn't believe how lucky
They weren't
someone
the town hall, they were at St. James.
No, they might have played there, but they stood outside.
Check it out.
I was there, mate.
Why would they be at the town hall? They didn't sing there. They
no, but that's where we all waved out and shook it, and that's where
I'm getting home now if there's evidence.
Anyway,
memory's important when you get older, you know.
And yeah, get one.
That's why. Memory's important when you get older, you know.
And yeah, get one.
That's why.
Did you say get one?
Anyway,
memory's important when you get older, you know.
And yeah, get one.
That's why.
He's just been roasting Winston. This is so based. He's just been roasting him. He called him good boy, and now he says get one. Well, why is he keeping ruined old church buildings a big issue in every NZ city? Wayne Brown is just like very autistic. Like if it's not like contributing to the city, like economically or like or whatever, like he tends to not like it. And also, it's just like some people, it's like a voting thing. People just don't like heritage stuff or old stuff being torn down. Like we should all technically like be in favor of this stuff, but like people have like emotional attachment stuff, and usually it's older people who vote the most, by the way. So that's probably the biggest reason.
That's why you should drink 3 cups of coffee. 3 cups of coffee before 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, what's Auckland's biggest problem in one?
I'm looking forward when he interviews Luxon. Yeah, oh my god, that's gonna be that should be because he's already been roasting Winston quite a bit. I want to see the biggest like comedy shit go on. He's gotten more hits on Winnie than dude. It's great, and the best part is because Winston cannot insult him because if he does, it's over. So he's just been shooting shots, and Winston just had to take it the entire time. This is pure dopamine. My serotonin levels have been skyrocketing watching this.
Overpopulation and lack of infrastructure.
Not bad. Traffic, I'd have said, but still, that's a good answer.
That's what you
and our
have.
biggest opportunity.
Well, if you ban back the population, you will get and start on the infrastructure. You'll be doing something that'll be around 50, 60, 100 years from now.
2.5 years more of me is probably the best opportunity because they're not going to get any more after that.
Based. That's actually a very good answer. Like, there's the best opportunity is Wayne Brown. The moment this guy leaves, it's going to go back to the retarded, like, political finagling we had before. This guy's been the one saving grace of, like, Auckland. This is, like, for the, like, past couple of years.
But there you go. Thank you very much, Winston.
Your job is to find a successor. Surely, your job is to find a successor before you walk off.
Well, I'm certainly not going to do it again after you want to spend a day in the room with some of my councillors. That is inhumane treatment to human beings.
I fucking love him, dude.
Thank you very much, Winston.
Thank you very much. I know it's not easy, quite honestly.
Just one thing you voters may not know, we met on Eden Park playing rugby against each other many, many years ago, and as Winston reminds me, my team...
Has he talked to Labour yet, Simon? Because I would like to see the Labour one, but I don't think he has talked to them from what I've seen. Because I see Greens here and I see opportunity. He hasn't done Labour or National yet. He's okay, cool. What we'll do Greens first, and then opportunity to like wash my mouth after.
They actually have to be meaningfully funded and supported. So this is where, there have been hints of some good things that have happened, the likes of the announcement around kind of GST back with regard to certain types of development.
But paying rates.
Yeah. Oh, for government
Just
buildings.
paying
Yeah.
rates. Just pay your rates. Okay, well, basically, I want them out of the road more than... I don't need money. I just need less civil servants. Now, rates are going up 7.9% in Auckland. Why?
Because successive governments have refused, the CRL.
Basically,
They're basically the CRL.
You've been listening. It's exactly 235 million, which is 7.9%. So we are having a zero rate rise and a train set, which costs too much.
Yeah, but that also is a matter of a legacy of governments not coming to the table to actually invest in the infrastructure that is nationally significant for our city.
No, I don't think it's that.
You don't reckon?
It's not. They came to the table and invested half with us.
Yeah.
But they brought with us a whole lot of morons from Wellington who mucked up how we went about.
The funny thing is that I would technically disagree with Brown on what position bureaucrats are in governance, but I actually am more inclined to agree with him instead of disagree. Mostly because I think a big problem, not just in New Zealand, but a lot of Western democracies, we're putting a lot of people in positions who do not have the qualifications to fit those positions. I'm sorry, if you're a minister for transport or someone who's in a transport a project, you need to have some sort of engineering background. I refuse to have any more people who have a law degree working on rail or something. That shit's retarded. We need to work past that.
Yeah, I could have done it for At least $2 billion less.
I think the procurement critique is absolutely correct. I think absolutely, I mean, as the Infrastructure Commission has pointed out, we oftentimes tend to scope projects saying that they're going to be far cheaper and delivered far quicker than they actually are in reality. How do you think we deal with those incentives? How do we fix that?
We don't do any design work. We just say, here's a railway, I want to go from here to here. Give me your best price, put a railway from here to here.
To whom?
To the contractors.
Yeah, but do we go
we
out
design
for
and build.
proper procurement for everyone to be able to come to the table?
Yeah, including China, especially China. Yeah. I mean, they built 45,000 kilometres underground, we built 3.5. Waste and bureaucracy. People are sick of money disappearing in the process. How would you embed a better, faster, cheaper mindset across government?
Well, this is where I think that the kind of left and right wing binaries of bureaucracy is bad or bureaucracy is good is actually kind of counterproductive. And the government of the day deciding to pluck a number out of thin air, going, we're just going to get rid of 8,000 to 9,000 public servants without any real.
It's not
I know that
really
you would
enough.
think that, Wayne.
50,000 should go,
if we
but not necessarily go from their job. Be put back out into the other communities. You know, the
to go and do things.
The Minister of Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture should be in a farming area, Morrinsville or somewhere.
You can have one of the two. You can either have better or cheaper. If you were to take what you just said on face value, I would agree with you. Obviously, like, you can make things efficient, so you could have a better product and try to get the most cheapest outcome. Like, you can bring in, for example, you can bring in Chinese engineers, but you can use like NZ regulation rules and materials or whatever to build a thing. So that would be more efficient or whatever. But yeah, you're pretty much right. You're on the ball, like 90%. I would agree with you on that. But obviously there are some like margin shifts you can do on that statement. But yeah, Wayne Brown's right here. Like, a lot of ministers, bro, you need them in the front lines of these things. They need to be looking at these projects as they're happening. Because, dude, we just need more competent ministers and bureaucrats.
Not in Wellington. Nobody knows what a cow looks like down there. They know what nappies look like because they're all along the coast.
Well, I think the thing that we are finding agreement on, if you read between the lines of that, is that we need to be asking ourselves, what is the point of the public service and how do we actually achieve that? I think that is a better starting question.
Where should it be?
Yep, I think that's fair.
Concentrated in one place is the worst decision.
Yep. Just like concentration in market power is also a bad thing.
That's true, but why she didn't have to slip that? This is what I meant, by the way, Smody. Like, the rhetoric of the Green Party is shifting, and I don't really like it, but that's kind of like a small thing.
Well, it's not really. It's in the government at the moment. But you're right.
Yeah, the one problem with that is when you streamline things to get most efficient, they get more brittle too. There needs to be a little slack there where people... No, yeah, I completely agree with you. As I said, like, what the statement you made on face value, I agree. But obviously there are, like, margin shifts you can do on it.
Even progressive bastions like the World Trade Organization have pointed out that one of the major drags on our productivity is the conglomerate power that's exercised currently.
No, I don't disagree with that. What's your plan? Will you give Auckland more control over transport planning and funding?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Good girl. You win a prize.
Fucking love him, dude.
I'm an Aucklander, Wayne.
I know that, but you spend time in that frustrating city that I won't visit because I'm worried that stupid thinking might be contagious.
Here I was thinking that it's because he hits
okay. I mean this in the least cultish way possible. When Wayne Brown passes, we need to make a 50-meter statue of him in the middle of the city. This man needs to be the legacy of Auckland, okay? He's just the best.
Set off the metal detector.
Will you back common sense fixes like dynamic lanes, smart traffic lights and stuff like that?
That makes a heck of a lot of sense. But I also think that when we're talking about the infrastructural investments that we're making,
Yeah, you know what? As an Aucklander, I hate Wellington too. Those fuckers take so much of our money to build a bike lane that gets flooded anyways. It's the most retarded shit ever. Alright? We produce most of the shit for the country. Can we, for fuck's sake, at least have control of some of it? I just want a fraction of it coming back to the city. Okay? Like, I've been to Wellington, okay? I've seen what they've got going on there, okay? They're not spending our money correctly.
I think we also find common ground on. We should be asking the question, how do we get as many people as efficiently from A to B, as opposed to how do we build more roads?
Oh, I don't disagree with that. What's your plan to make Auckland a higher wage, higher productivity city?
Well, I think there's a number of fixes to this because there is no one silver bullet. Very clearly, we've seen that just with this kind of laissez-faire approach of the last 40 years with successive governments taking their hand off the wheel and refusing to do industrial planning and policy, that while we have had economic growth, that has not been equally distributed, which is where there might be some differences in our political views, but also that we haven't seen meaningful high-wage job creation. So I think that there needs to be some actual planning about the kinds of jobs that we want to make.
I don't want the government doing it.
Well,
I've taken over in Auckland and we now have...
There was a really good interview Helen Clark gave on Q&A with Jack, I think like 3-4 days ago. And she brings up a lot, like, again, you may have a lot of disagreements with the US system, but their congressional committee system is fucking awesome. Like, something will come out of Congress, a piece of legislation, and every single local constituency will debate it to death, so even if the government changes, that stays in effect. There's a long-term plan, and both sides have come to the aisle to make sure that this thing stays the way it is, whatever they've decided and how it'll be implemented. I think, I'm going to keep bashing this in. Local regions, local electorates, and local councils need to be empowered so that whatever happens in the beehive does not affect directly every single local constituency. Local constituencies should be able to control most of their shit. It should just mostly be regulations and stuff that's controlled by the beehive.
The Tech Alliance.
Yep.
And it's really doing well.
Well, that's what I mean. More of those kinds of things where there is active thinking.
I thought that changed recently with Trump. No, Trump didn't change any laws. The problem is Trump is like a blatant authoritarian who skips Congress. So like the systems are still in place. He just doesn't listen to them. Well, Republic, yeah, Trump is not America. Like, trust me, like right now, like Trump is one of the few examples that if you take this one guy out of the history, like everything would have been different. Like the American system hasn't changed. The systems are still in place. It's just he doesn't fucking use them or listen to them. He just sidesteps them.
Across industry, education. Well, this is
Ministry of Business, Innovation, Employment.
Things.
3 things designed to stop. I mean, I agree with a lot of things here, but you do have a tendency to want to have the civil servants involved. And they're the very last people that should be involved.
Well, I tend to want us to actually resource the things that we say that we care about, which does require oftentimes collective kind of money going into the kitty for that.
You've got a small village of grey people in Wellington who command all the thinking. They do planning. They think.
Again, and there's also a reason why Wade Brown is very important. I like wherever you stand politically, you need to stand 10 toes down on your beliefs. I like that Wayne Brown has set a position on that we need to empower Auckland. And obviously he's just talking about Auckland here, but I would like to expand that conversation to every single council. Every single council should have at least like a majority dictation on like what's being implemented and how it's being implemented. This way they can effectively do it for the regions. Because Wellington can't just cast a wide net and hope to solve everything. You do need these local councils to, in context, implement what the Beehive has set out.
They can plan. How can they plan for this? Look out there.
I mean, the reason that we've ended up with a stranglehold on the growth of affordable housing in the city is absolutely because of central government politicians. Oh, well, I would say there's some around your table as well who've decided that they want to sprawl further and further out.
Former National Party MP. What about the midnight levy?
We support it.
Good.
Common sense.
How quick can we do that?
I mean, we could.
Why haven't you and Labor got together with National and just passed it and act out of the road?
I'm very happy to do that. I've actually had discussions akin to that with the Minister of Auckland. I've said we can get this done. We actually don't. We only need National and the Greens to pass it right now if we wanted to.
That would be great.
If you've got Simon Watson here, let him know. I've offered those 15 votes to him to get it done.
Our superannuation system is heading over a cliff. What will you do about that?
Okay, well, we know, based on all of the evidence and experience.
Remember, the only way to fix the superannuation thing is making the legal employer contribution matching higher or decreasing the age. There's literally no other way to fix it. My council was currently discussing merging from the regional council since the government's decided to abolish them and giving their local council 3 months to decide that they want to do that. Wait. Merging from the regional council? As in, like, was your council region discussing merging with another council region? Is that what you're telling me?
That as a result of our universal superannuation scheme that we have among the lowest rates of elderly poverty in the OECD. So I think the question is actually, how do we ensure that we don't have elderly poverty and how do we fund it adequately? That means fixing the tax system.
Why don't you just move it? The main problem is that people are living older.
Getting forced to merge, a lot of councils are getting forced to merge. A lot of councils are right now. Yeah, most likely. Because obviously some of our council regions are pretty small, so the resources are pretty limited. Yeah. My district council has been forced to merge with the regional council, and basically they've been told to decide on how they want to do that in 3 months' time. Okay, I see. I don't know how I feel specifically to that. I think having some larger council regions probably might be effective in the long run. As I said, scale of throughput or whatever. But these things need to be done responsibly. Like Auckland, and it's not what happened when it merged and became what it is now. There were a lot of problems when it came to like the bloating and the bloating of bureaucracy and like the mismanagement. But you need to discuss these things very thoroughly and actually like do them in a proper way. And then come back to my point, you need local funding, and you need local decision making. Because if you don't do things in context, nothing will be done correctly. Period.
And the percentage of people who are collecting versus the ones supporting it is dropping. You've got to move it up 10 years.
So why does my generation keep getting screwed over? Why does every generation who comes after yours keep getting screwed over?
Supporting more and more. But if you move it up to 70, there's less getting and more working. And most people work to 70 now anyhow.
So like Wayne Brown's got the first, remember, there's only 2 ways to fix the superannuation. Increasing the funding going to QE7 via making legal matching higher, or increasing the age, period. Only 2 ways to fix it. There's no other policy finagling you can do.
I guess if we take a step back and kind of assess this for fairness, we're talking about a generation right now who is coming into retirement, who received university for free, more than that, was paid to go.
10 years.
Well, why not adequately tax the wealth that's accumulated at the top to ensure that everybody has a good life and access to opportunities?
Those of us who have accumulated wealth will just defeat you. There is no possible way that anyone in your party or in Wellington can outthink me. Not possible.
I think you've said the quiet part out loud there, Wayne, which is that very wealthy people exert undue influence and power.
Again, it's the rhetoric. Like Auckland has some of the most wealthiest people ever, but she is representing a part of Auckland. Again, like you have to understand there are certain narratives that populists like the Greens run around, where it's like, oh, all the wealthy control all politics, but she's in one of the most wealthiest districts in council regions in Auckland. Electorates in Auckland, and she's won her position, and she's gonna probably win the electorate again. So it's just like a moot point. It's like wherever they lose, it's the wealthy's fault. Wherever they win, it's because the people rose up and woke the fuck up or whatever. I don't really like that rhetoric. It's just very poisonous to like democracy, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't think it's like tax changes won't fix our problems with super. Like the big thing is just shifting the legal contribution rate from employer matching, or increasing the age, which Wayne Brown has taken that position. It's also worth noting where she got her money from. Yeah, that too. Yeah, like it's just. I just hate populists, bro. Like it's just a poison to democracy. Like I love my like it's the reason why I'm so bullish on top. I love environmentalism. It's what makes our country the way it does. But we need significant understanding of economics. We need to understand that our taxes need a more progressive change. These are just very simple things, She ran companies like the cheap for interviews one, and then yeah. That's like I don't know, man. I remember I saw like the Green Party with like an ad. If she wants to live it, I don't mind. Yeah, I remember I saw an ad about like locally made, like, fucking like, Green Party clothing, whatever, and it was like $140 a T-shirt or something. And I was like, brother, like I'm sorry, I don't believe that. But yeah, Like, look, I'm a very big, strong Labour supporter. I believe in parliamentary pragmatism. My perfect world is that both the Greens and Te Pāti Māori have to enter in a supply and confidence with Labour, not a coalition. We need a strong centre-left view for the country. Nisa Chen from the Labour is actually a lot stronger compared to the previous candidate against Chloe. Yeah, no, I'm just saying that, like, from what I understand, the leaning is currently that. But hey, hopefully we see Central Auckland's flip. I would really love to see that. As long as she's smart enough to know what she's ignorant about and pass those things off to people who know better, I'll support her. Yeah, fair enough. Like, you can have your own inclinations. I just believe that the Labour Party in a centre-left position for New Zealanders in long term is more viable long term. I feel like the Green Party's disposition and what they're going to economically, because like whatever they're, if you just look at like the rhetoric they're spewing, it's very clear that like next election cycle is going to start bringing up more like hard left stuff, and it's going to be just very toxic and or iffy. So I just feel like there has to be stronger messaging from Labour. And I think Labour started to pick up on it. Hipkins has started to put out a lot of policy when it comes to like transport capping and it comes to supporting capital gains. But remember, like, Labour is a moderate left party, so like if they announce any like radical like policy change, it's going to scare off a lot of independent voters. Sorry, but I don't think they will. Labour may be stronger, but last time they came into those kinds of agreements, they pretty much got shut out of most things. They know how important winning is. Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I understand why the Greens are doing the things they do. I'm not stupid. I understand every party should try to get the most strength out of any election they possibly can to enforce their will in an agreement. But as I said, I'm very bullish on the Labour Party. I'm a big Labour supporter, and I'm a big parliamentary pragmatist. So like my perfect world, that's what I was saying, like my perfect world is a supply and confidence agreement, not a coalition. Because as I said, the Greens can pass a policy that they love and their hard left bloc loves, but National ends up using that as an attack on Labour. I'm not sure the Opportunity Party will be much of a help to anyone. No, they won't. When I talk about top, I mean like not this election cycle, but the one after and the one after that. From what I can see, if they keep on their trajectory and if Kwele Wong keeps being as charismatic as she is as a leader, I think they're going to start picking up a couple seats. That's just how I feel.
Are on our politics, and that's probably the reason that so many people are currently feeling so discontent.
They just think better. I'm not an inheritor either. I would bring in death duties.
Mm-hmm.
Death duties. Once you're dead, it doesn't matter. Not live duties.
That's Maori, okay.
Okay. What's the one thing Aucklanders would notice within 3 years of you being in charge or having a strong influence?
I think the key immediate thing, there's the practical stuff in terms of a bed night levy, which in turn would mean that we're able to get greater vibrancy. We also could do a heck of a lot to support our arts and culture and nightlife, joined up thinking there. With regard to transport, again, using the assets that we've already got far more efficiently, the likes of dynamic lanes and stuff, but also getting more buses on the road. And then I think with regard to the development that we'd start to see with far more affordable housing. But then there's also, the immediate stuff with regard to homelessness.
The biggest prevention to affordable housing is our building rules. It's very hard to introduce something new like tri-board into the system as opposed to stick framing, because tradition beats innovation in New Zealand.
Some would also argue market capture and influence of
this. Never mind, man. Never mind.
The likes of the duopoly and building materials.
No, there isn't a duopoly. There are other entrants out there, but no, I think it's definitely the rules-based thing. Idiot organisations like MBIE. Everyone in there should be just killed.
I don't know about killed.
I fucking love my mayor, dude. I fucking love him.
Well, their influence should be killed. I mean, there's 800 people in there every day going in there, dreaming up stupider things to do to make building harder to do. It's just, and it's very, very hard to introduce anything new into building in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Thanks to MBIE. So, righto.
Do you support the ratepayer assistance scheme? Do you support the ratepayer assistance scheme for getting solar panels on people's roofs?
I support the ratepayer assistance scheme for people who can't pay their rates and just put it on the property until they sell. Yeah. That's a sensible thing to do. I mean, people are not using their asset at their home. You know, they're little old ladies who got no cash living in a $2 million house. And we should be able to use that. And the people who miss out are the inheritors. Bugger the inheritors. That's why I think death duties. Why not death duties? That's a simple way. Better than your stupid idea of wealth tax. Get wealth tax after they die. I can't wait to
discuss my tax policy with you when we've finally announced it.
Well, death duties is what you should do. When they die, it doesn't matter. If I die, I don't care how much they take off me. The kids will have learned how to...
Yeah, like an inheritance tax is objectively better than a wealth tax, because like a wealth tax will incentivize not keeping capital in the market for long, which is the point of investment. You want to keep capital within investment market so they can do its job and exponentially grow after a lot of time has passed. Which is why when I read the Greens tax policy, the wealth tax is the one thing that really disgusted me. But like, I loved their bank levy, I loved their withholding tax, I loved their tax bracket changes. Those are like some key things I think New Zealand needs a lot. But yeah, the wealth tax is something that completely I was not interested in at all.
They support themselves. I don't like inheritors.
Mm-hmm.
Since
my king, I hate inheritors too. Okay, if you inherit assets, I'm sorry, you got to pay up to society. It's not my problem that you feel sad about yourself losing out some money on the 5 properties your grandmother like gave you or whatever.
Trump discovered the Straits of Hormuz, we've had a useful reminder that energy resilience actually matters. What's your plan to keep the lights on and fuel moving when the supply chain stops?
Well, I actually agreed with the Prime Minister when 2 months ago he was saying that a hope is not a plan as we were experiencing the fossil fuel crisis first starting to hit. The unfortunate thing is that exactly the same time his Minister for Energy was cancelling the plan for energy in
Yeah, I think it was Lake Onslow, the dam project, right?
country, and the best that they seem to have come up with is this LNG import facility, which absolutely nobody thinks is a good idea. So this is where diversified renewable energy
Interesting that the
critical.
Brazilians are coming here to talk to me,
Mm.
not the government, because
that
in
tell
South
you?
America, they all think I'm the president.
Considering the amount of people who'd earn enough to trigger the wealth tax, honestly, I don't care. It's not about, like, remember, the wealth tax is not about money. I don't care if you tax the wealthy. I could not give a fuck. The problem is that New Zealand already has an FDI problem. We already have an investment problem. Like, it's collapsed. The problem with the wealth tax is not about scaring away investment. The problem with the wealth tax is it doesn't keep investment in. And the whole point of investment is to keep capital in a market for as long as possible so that people can see they'll see the profits rise and rise and rise, and they're gonna be like, okay, maybe if I keep it for another 2 years, okay, another 2 years, another 2, and then that capital just keeps working. Like, I don't mind if you have like a high ass fucking capital gains tax or you're taxing income over like rich people, but like a wealth tax is very toxic to capital markets. That's just like economic law. There's no way to there's no other way to discuss around it. But like an inheritance tax on properties, capital gains tax on stocks, like that's whatever, you can do that. Like that actually has no real significant contribution to economic decline or lack of capital. That's the thing, though. The main reason why people don't invest here is because we're too risky, and that won't change. Not with us flip-flopping from labor to. People don't invest here not because we're not floppy or whatever. It's because we don't fund a lot of our shit, which keeps our economy running. Like, people can come and invest here, but the roads aren't built, the rails aren't there, the energy grids can't secure anything. So that's one of the main reasons. The second reason, all right, is that Kiwis are more interested in investing into housing, which is a moot asset, than they are their own economy. Like, even with the Kiwis who are invested in the stock markets are mostly investing in like Australia or the USA. So like that's one of the that's like another problem. So like it has nothing to do with like like remember, as I said, a wealth tax won't scare investors. It just will not keep money for long in a market. Like under Labour in 2023, we had $5.7 billion of FDI. Under this current government, it's like $1.3 billion, if I remember correctly. So it's a collapsed. So you need to increase public sector funding and put some capital gains taxes or inheritance taxes to generate some more funding, so you can then continue to fund those public sector jobs and finance government programs. It's the hand we're dealt until people learn to stop voting national. People need security to invest. Yeah, but the security does not come with the wealth tax. There was a reason why only 4 to 6 countries do a wealth tax. Yes, exactly. No, you're right, Simon. And also, even like, for example, the Norwegian wealth tax, I think is probably like the best model for the wealth tax, where it's like, if you're going to pull your assets from Norway and move, then a wealth tax is triggered. It's not about the money you're actually putting in the country. It's about if you're deciding to like take all your shit and get out, basically. And it has to do mostly with land instead of actual like investment. It's worth nothing which nations do a wealth tax. It pretty much is. If an awesome economic policy is discovered and like no one sorry, if something like economic policy is discovered and only a couple of countries are doing it, and you're not really seeing significant changes or anything like picked up by other governments, it's usually a good like thing to like key in, to be like, okay, maybe I might be going down a bit of a political rabbit hole and this is not actually a good policy. Like, as I said, like, I loved the withholding tax. The bank levy was really good. The tax bracket changes were really good. I loved all of that. It was just that wealth tax which did not make any sense economically to me. But as I said, like in replacement of the wealth tax, a land tax, inheritance tax, a capital gains tax, these are good things because these only affect after selling an asset. So all that profit generation can be collected. But to tax people while money is in the market is very toxic. It does not like incentivize keeping money in the market for long. That's just like economic law.
President, because, for good reasons, I got more votes than your party. So
That's not quite true.
It is true.
How many votes did you get, Wayne?
How many votes you get in Auckland? The same place. I got 180,000. You got about 50. Not even close.
Okay.
Okay? And if I went national, I'd piss on you. Don't worry about that at all. But that's not the point. When we opened up the air flights between China and South America by getting rid of that stupid requirement for Chinese people to have a transit visa, and we went through there, I went on the first.
Yeah, but those people aren't coming in anyways. They've already left and you're out. Okay, the problem is then you do realize your argument makes no sense to begin with then. Because if they're not coming in and you're making it even harder for them to even want to invest in, what's the point? And they cost a lot of administrative wealth taxes, and that's why a lot of countries got rid of even like France tried with it and they had to get rid of it. Because you're not only attaching a different bureaucracy to collect that wealth tax, it's like a whole other thing. But yeah, like you can do progressive taxes, but they should be done after the fact, never during. Doing something during an economic cycle is the most stupid thing. Just literally just go to an AI source. Literally, like you don't even listen to me. Just go to an AI source. Type in, hey, if I charge investors money for keeping money in the stock market, would this incentivize pulling money out? Yes or no? Like, it's just basic economic law. You have to understand. Like, I've come to my position of being a Labour supporter because they tend to follow economic law more than the National does. That's just an objective fact. And with the Greens tax policy, like I read it on stream, I found it to be pretty good. It was just that wealth tax and their rhetoric. It was like those are the two things I was like, this is just off the ball. And because harder doesn't make it zero, it's still profit. Like the problem is like we talked about funding homeless shelters, right? The idea was utility, you know? We talked about utility, how like, you know, every dollar matters because this is a statistic you want to avoid. It's the same with investment. If you scare away investment, you do realize that's reducing jobs, reducing wages, and reducing like the economic security of our country. That's what that does. Like you may be getting a certain amount of money from that wealth tax, but the amount of investment you restricted out of the economy is going to significantly hurt Kiwis. Because remember, this is only residents and overseas. No. Okay, so Modi, you may not understand what you're talking about. So this sounds condescending. It shouldn't be. The withholding tax and the bank levy, those are, I think, the things you're talking about. The wealth tax is a separate policy where it's like if you have a certain amount invested, the wealth tax triggers and you have to pay yearly for it being invested into the country. The withholding tax, like overseas tech companies, the moment they take money out of New Zealand, 5% is immediate. It's not like a tax bill they have to pay later. It's like immediately taken out, which I think is a very good policy. Same thing with the bank levy. If you have over $100 billion in liabilities, like 0.06% of everything after the 100 billion is a tax. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But I'm talking about the direct wealth tax, not the bank levies or the withholding tax.
This flight, a whole lot of China, important Chinese went on the first flight. People on there in South America, important people, the presidents and everything met us.
This is the 2.5%, right? I believe this. Yes, I believe you're correct. That's because I think it's like after $10 million or something, it triggers 2.5%. If I remember correctly.
And our government opened a shop. They went to IKEA. That's why they think I'm the president. Rapid fire.
Back to the Straits of Hormuz, though.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody is starting a war over sunlight and wind and the energy that we can generate from our water. So, you know, if we want, we are never going to have affordable, abundant energy with fossil fuels that have to be hauled in from the other side.
Yeah, after 2 million on property or shares. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Like the whole point like, yeah, I'm for like wealth tax is a very broad term. So like stuff like land taxes or capital gains taxes or bank levies or withholding taxes, those are fine. I'm completely fine with any of those because like that is all after the fact of the capital being pulled out because like that person's already decided to pull their stuff out of the market. That kind of wealth tax, I don't think is good because it stops a lot of like targeted medium to high level investing. And it like because the whole point of investing is not that, oh, I put my money in for a year and I'm going to take it out. You want to keep capital in the market as long as possible so that it can keep like building on itself.
The planet.
We're never going to have affordable solar while we've got the.
And like I'm completely fine with also like increasing taxes on people who make over like $160,000 a year, or like 180,000, whatever. I think it was 160 they shifted the bracket to, or was it 180? Ah, fuck, I can't remember. But yeah, just increase the income taxes, increase capital gains taxes, and do land taxes. But like, yeah, I just do not think the wealth tax is economically viable.
Stupid monopolies of loans companies, and so we've got to change that. That whole
there needs to be massive structural reform in the energy sector. Yeah, I mean, we also are on the record and have a members bill for structural separation for the gentailers and the retail arm. And if you've got Winston in here, you should remind him that we can get this done. We've got a bill ready to make it happen.
Okay, good on you. Rapid fire.
So that'll be 2.5% of the value of your shares. I'm not sure people will rather zero profit instead of. No, but the point, it's not about the profit. It's about the year on year taking the money out. So like the reason why capital gains tax is good is because you've already made that profit and now they've taken out, it's whatever. The problem is when investors do investing, they don't have liquid cash on hand. That's the whole point of investing. So when you're asking for a portion of that wealth, you're basically siphoning the potential of that investment away from the investment every year. So that will actively hurt Kiwis by reducing employment, reducing wages, and reducing economic stability. Which is why, like whenever you talk about like these kind of progressive taxes, these should be done after the fact of when these things have been pulled out of the market. Because you should be punished for taking this is the whole reason why capital gains tax is actually even an argument. You want to punish people for pulling money away from being productive and taking it into their bank accounts again. Yeah, but they already take the money out anyways when they live or pay tax overseas. Yeah, they do. But what I'm telling you is that this wealth tax is going to just make it worse. And I understand your argument of like, okay, well, if they're going to do it anyways, you may as well make some money off it. But like, I don't want to see Kiwis losing jobs because people have decided that they don't want to keep their investments for a long time in Kiwi capital markets because year on year they'll have to pay liquid cash to keep that there if it starts growing. Like you're going to start punishing investors for making correct investments and getting profit out of that. I don't think that's a long-term viable strategy.
When did you last use a hop card?
This week on a bus.
But they already lost their jobs when the power went up. What do you mean? Like, is then the power bill or?
Yeah.
On a bus.
I can show you my tag. I've learned actually that the key tag ones are collector's items. I didn't know that.
Ah.
They're apparently very expensive to make, but they're so much better than the cards that you end up, well, some people end up losing.
The Visa works pretty well everywhere.
Yeah.
What would be the biggest waste of money in the last 2 years? The national ticketing system wins every prize. It's the INSIS of transport. Remember INSIS for the cops? Bus, train, ferry, bike, walk or car.
I really like walking. I mean,
You know, power prices rose. Companies started leaving hand over fist. We've lost over 10,000 in the process industry alone. Yeah. So like this would be where the government fucked up, right? Obviously because they're not expanding our power grids or they're not giving incentives to power companies to expand their power grids. That's one of the main reasons. Also because we don't have that much green energy, which would give us a reliable source of energy in times of crisis overseas, like we're currently dealing with. But this has nothing to do, like, what you need to say, like, that is a completely separate issue from the capital markets thing. Like, the wealth tax would just add to that pain. You would just make it worse. That's the point I'm trying to like get across. It's like you're saying one issue, which is correct, but it's not addressing the separate issue. The wealth tax issue is a completely different ballgame.
have the privilege of living in the city centre, so it's a good way to see the city.
That's how we met, actually, walking.
It is.
Something like 6,000 of them are still jobless, and yeah, it's not investing in green energy when it was early. What I'm saying is that this wealth tax would pay for that issue. I think the main disagreement we're having is that I'm telling you that, like, the lack of utility we're going to receive with the wealth tax, I think, is more disturbing. I understand your position of, like, we should just get the money anyways if they're going to leave. But, like, for me, I find it very disastrous on the utility we're going to curb if we implement that wealth tax. It's not about the money at this point. Like, it's the same thing with the homeless shelter stuff. It's not about the money. It's about the utility you get out of it. And fixes somewhat help return companies here when cost goes back down. Yeah. No, it's just like, you just got to invest in the energy sector. And as I said, like, just increase the capital gains tax, make a land tax, and increase the income tax for people who make over 180,000 a year. And then you basically solve the issue. You don't need to implement the wealth tax. The wealth tax, the problem with it is that it decreases the utility of capital. That's the biggest problem.
But I do use the car as well as walking. Apartment, townhouse or villa, I think we agree on that one.
We love an apartment.
We are the apartment livers. You're probably the only
I
one in
love to be right in the thick of
I'm
the action.
the only one in the council.
Who lives in an apartment?
No,
it's fascinating.
I think so. EV, hybrid or petrol?
Just say EV, right?
What have you got?
Ultimately an EV.
Yeah. No, like,
I don't own a car, but
hybrid is the future. From the technologies I've seen, and like the battery technology is not catching up as fast as we thought they would. So EVs don't seem to be the future, at least for another 50 years. Hybrids are the way to go in this current climate.
Oh, you got a...
I live in the city centre. I'm very lucky.
I'm a BYD fan.
I think it needs the wealth tax to facilitate a transfer along with other policies. Otherwise, it just kicks the can on the road. I don't even necessarily disagree with you with the funding you can get out of the wealth tax. Again, this is my main point, right? Is that if you punish people for keeping capital in the market for too long, especially on good investments, because the whole point is if you're making a profit on investment, it's a good investment. It's doing good stuff for the economy. If you punish people for that year on year while it grows, and it'll be exponential, because obviously if it keeps going up and it's a more productive thing, and you keep siphoning the utility out of that, I think it's just disastrous for employment and for productivity, which is why I'm more in favor for stuff after the fact, like increasing capital gains, land taxes, more progressive tax change, increasing income tax, like stuff like that. That's a better structural change than implementing that wealth tax. That's like the biggest concern of mine. Because like, what if, like, for example, if you were to give, say just like hypothetically, if the wealth tax generated like an estimated of $50,000, this is like a fake number, but I'm just saying for a hypothetical sake, $50,000 a year. Just shift the tax brackets and boom, if you make that money, then you don't even need to implement the wealth tax. Like, I'm fine with increasing taxes. That's okay, but like that, because like that in itself doesn't actually have that much of a downstream economic effect. My problem is like the wealth tax is implemented in the wrong place.
Oh no, I've also been in your car.
Yeah. Name an Auckland volcano that's not Rangitoto or Mount Eden.
Mangfo is Mount Eden, eh? Yeah. Eh?
Yeah, well, look out the window. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
Browns
there's 50
Island.
odd of them.
Okay. Oh, that's a sort of partial pass. One piece of Auckland infrastructure beside a stadium that makes you proud.
What was the question? One
A
piece.
piece of Auckland infrastructure, not a stadium, that makes you proud.
I mean, when the CRL finally opens,
Is it?
it's going to be
I like
magnificent.
the Harbour Bridge. It was really clever.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's out
Tell
the window.
us more.
Doesn't need another one.
No, I agree.
They're really good. Well, not one there, anyhow. If you could take a sledgehammer to one building in the city, which one would it be?
Oh, metaphorically or literally? Are we talking about, do I have aesthetic issues with it, or?
Yeah, whatever you like. What's one that pissed you off you'd rather knock down? Having in the company of people who have knocked buildings down. As well, I've built more than I've knocked down, but I have knocked down some.
I know your views on heritage. I mean, honestly, it's actually probably just all of the land banking that's happening with all of the car parks around the city centre. I know that's not necessarily anything to knock down. I just want them to be bloody built. It's more the fact that we've got, this land banking that's happening, and the capital gains that are happening on that land is happening by virtue of the investment that Aucklanders are making.
Ah, well.
So it's not so much knock it down, it's about building it.
After living through the heyday of Fisher and cycle. I've seen companies get big and leave for other shores away. Same with more companies. More companies that I can remember. I'm of the mindset that we can't stop them from leaving. So like here, how about this? I would be fine with a wealth tax if it was like the Norwegian model. Whereas like if you decided to like take investments out and move shop, you could add like a leaving tax. Like it's like, okay, you're taking your investments out and leaving somewhere else. Fine, fuck you. I'm fine with that. You can do that. I just do not want that in our stock markets. That's what I need you to understand. Like, my biggest concern is the utility. Is keeping whatever capital is already here. I don't want that to be punished, especially if they're making good investments. And so like I'm fine with like people like if someone wants to move offshore, it's like okay, pay up. I'm fucking fine with that completely. But like if your main concern is not just that, but also like the funding, like if someone was to calculate how much the wealth tax in the stock market would make, just match that with other forms of taxation like capital gains or land taxes. Do that, and I'm a happy man.
I'd have had to St James.
I know you would, but we're going to get it open and it's going to be awesome for the city, Wayne.
What, in one word, Auckland's biggest problem?
Central government politics.
That's pretty good.
In one word, yeah.
Wellington.
Politics. Politics. Yeah.
Wellington.
Partisanship, actually. I'll say partisanship.
No, I don't think politics. Some politicians are quite
No, I
good.
mean, politics is everything.
But I mean Wellington is mine.
I'm talking about...
In one word, what's our biggest opportunity other than a Wellington earthquake?
Creativity. That's our people. Yeah.
Really? No, that's good.
I think Aucklanders and New Zealanders are incredibly innovative. I mean, we've got a long history of praising our number at Y mentality.
You're probably right, because I would have said that the Tech Alliance.
Yeah.
That's really going to generate some wealth. Anyhow, thank you for coming in.
You're so
Lovely
welcome,
to see you as
Wayne.
usual. Just for those people who don't know, we are both a very socially liberal pair, but we differ a bit on economics.
As you may have seen.
But we're surprisingly good friends.
I'm liking this series. I think this is very healthy. This whole thing.
Our biggest opportunity is setting a more ambitious vision for Auckland and for New Zealand. We have an overly complicated central government.
The attention spans of politicians are much the same as the attention span of a fly.
We have this just-in-time model. The generators don't want to overbuild because they won't get the payback. We do have a policy around free public transport.
Now, why would you bother doing that? The other political parties. So there you are. You're up in the big time now.
Yeah, I am.
You're not quite as popular as me, but you might be.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Auckland's deal with Wellington. We're a third of the country and 40% of the GDP. Yeah. And if you get to be in government and have a bit of a say about things, what would you change for Auckland?
Well, I mean, I think it's great. The Auckland deal was a great start. I think that we could build on some of that long-term infrastructure planning and have more contributions from central government for that sort of thing, and commitment to stick to those plans, because our view is it's that flip-flopping that is really hurting all parts of the country, but places like Auckland in particular that really need to get on with growing and expanding, making the best of what we've got to offer the world.
It's because Wellington treats Auckland like a problem to manage rather than a grown-up city. So what's one thing one power you'd hand back to Auckland from Wellington?
Oh, I would like to see greater control around some of your other revenue sources. So things like a bed tax, I think should be up to the city to make that call.
Why don't they pay rates themselves? Why don't the government pay rates?
Yeah, I mean, contributions to those sorts of things
can
help.
Should pay rates.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I guess there's a range of ways that we could increase revenue streams for Auckland, and those should all be discussed.
The next category is rates, CRL, and who pays. I've just put rates up by 7.9%. Why did I do that? Or why did my council do that?
Well, I've seen obviously the stories around CRL.
Bingo, you win the prize. Surprisingly enough, you're the first person in here to work that out.
That was only just, was it last week you were talking
I know,
about
the attention spans of politicians are much the same as the attention span of a fly.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there? Yeah.
Rightio. Is the rates cap a good idea?
I think it's a blunt instrument that's not going to solve the problem. I mean, councils, I think, are struggling to deliver the services they need to. Of course, we want to drive efficiencies and make sure that the money's being spent well, but at the same time, we have to make sure that if they've got the responsibility to deliver a bunch of services, they have the appropriate funding to do that. Otherwise, we keep kicking the can down the road.
Not bad. Good answer. Pretty good. Waste and bureaucracy. People are sick of money disappearing into the process. I go on and on about I hate waste. More layers, more everything else, radical stuff. What would you do to embed a better, faster, cheaper mindset across government? And I mean better, faster, cheaper. You can embed it. Nobody in this organisation would have heard those three words in one sentence before, but now, because I say it all the time, they kind of hear it. So what would you do to get government to be better, faster and cheaper?
Oh.
Other than just dissolving themselves in acid, which is what I would do.
We do have a very... I don't agree with ACT on a lot of things, but I think the reduction of ministries could be a good thing because we have an overly complicated central government sort of set of ministries.
Excepting that they would have started yet another one.
Exactly, which is very big and expensive.
That's really the first substantive disagreement I've ever had with Quille Wong. I don't agree with the ministries thing.
They are the association of hypocritical politicians, in my view, but they're there.
Yeah, we might disagree on which ministries should be prioritised, but yeah, I think that some simplification of that could help.
What would you stop or cut or simplify other than that? What would you go? Enough of that.
I mean, I think things like the roads of national significance, which Treasury have already
roads
said
of national party significance.
Yes, which have already, Treasury have already said are not worth it, not going to pay for themselves.
They're still they're going ahead and doing them stupidly.
Basically, opportunity is a hybrid of like I said this, like opportunity is the bridge between Greens and Labour. Like a lot of the Labour voters who left for the Greens who felt dissatisfied with Labour's lack of left-leaning policy in the 2023 election is top would have been the best way to capture the people who just weren't as I said, the Green Party's got a bit of a socialist bend now. They're using a lot of rhetoric, which is shifting that way. So top would have been actually a very good net, and it's starting to be that now. I don't agree, as I said, I don't agree with their position on the ministry stuff. I think that's a bit stupid, but they're good on progressive tax change. They're opening up the conversation when it comes to AI stuff. They're really good on climate stuff, and they've got a really good understanding of economic policy. So I'm really, as I said, I'm really bullish on the top party. Not this election cycle, but the one after and the one after that. I think they're going to start getting more traction.
Yeah, so that's where I think the Infrastructure Commission needs to have stronger powers to just say, stop it.
Well, if we were able to do our own ones, we wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So we should be able to do that, which is going to be a problem for their own. Getting Auckland moving. Aucklanders want to move around their city. Freight needs to move too. Preferably before the goods become antiques. That's quite a good line. I hadn't read that one before. What's your practical plan to get Auckland moving in the next term, and will you give Auckland more control over transport planning and funding? Or would you, if you were the government? Or even if you can get in there as a little influencing
see what we can do
on the side.
So we do have a policy around free public transport. I'm not sure where you sit on that, but I think that would be worth it.
It's getting so cheap now. Why would you bother doing that?
Well, it's getting cheaper, but we still have the cost and complexity of the ticketing system. And so if we got rid of that, we would actually save money and make it more accessible to more people, get more people moving around the city faster, grow productivity.
We've got a good you got into that. We've got a good ticketing system in Auckland now.
Yeah.
The national ticketing system would have to be the dumbest thing.
Well, that's going to, exactly. It's going to cost another close to $1 billion.
There's a policy for you. It's cost $1 billion already, hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not bad. Not a bad answer, not bad. But I don't think...
We can talk about it more. Be keen to talk about it.
Free things are never appreciated.
Well, there's a few countries around the world have got
This
a
is
free public
it's
transport.
only $50 a week for all you can eat now.
Yeah, it's not. It's yeah,
It's
but I
pretty
think
bloody cheap,
for some
mate.
people it is still a barrier, and so being able to offer them greater accessibility to jobs and getting around the city, I think that there is some health and social benefits there to be had.
Well, good on you for that. Time of use charging, yes or no?
Yes.
Good girl.
I lived in London and
no, London's different.
Oh, no?
That's time. That's not time of use.
Oh, is it not?
That's a gateway. It's for being in an area.
Right.
Okay. This is for being on the motorway at the time that it's jammed.
Yeah.
Or on a lake road when it's jammed or somewhere like that. Yeah. So you can get it. You can't escape the one in London because unless you don't go to London. But this one you can escape this by not going there between the busy times in the morning and the afternoon.
Yeah.
But that's all right. Unless you've heard of it. Jobs, tech and selling Auckland. We're the economic engine. There's more than 1,300 startups here. We've got Rocket Lab, Holt, all those clever buggers.
Yeah.
What is your plan to make Auckland a higher wage, higher productivity city?
So I think two key things here. One is doubling investment in R&D. We have woeful investment.
Who's investment?
She's my fucking queen, dude. Oh my god, I've been bitching about. I'm so like. At least you guys have proof. You can see me talk about this and bitch about this on stream. Yeah, we spend nothing on R&D. I'm happy there's someone at least talking about the substantive problems we have when it comes to funding our shit. She's such a queen. Holy shit.
The central government's investment, because if we don't have that investing at the top of the pipeline for innovation...
But if the government are very poor spenders of money.
Wayne Brown's a little bit wrong here. What should happen is that the government has like a pool of money that they distribute to the councils, and the councils can then deal with that however they will. As I said, we need to decentralize how we apply our funding in our local regions. So like Wayne Brown can have his own like setup in Auckland, and the national government filters in funding, because obviously the national government will have more funding to give.
But they don't have to be the ones making the decisions, but allocate the funds and somebody else can
she's such a fucking queen. Holy.
Put to good use, and I think there needs to be good criteria around that, around the kind of innovation that we want to see in New Zealand.
It's like to see more civil servants deciding, picking winners.
No, I don't
What
think
about
it's
some way of
necessarily...
encouraging private industry to put more into that by some sort of a tax break or something or other R&D?
Yeah. Increasing private investment through tax credits is a great idea as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Events, tourism and the midnight levy. If you want concerts, conferences, visitors and major sporting events, we need a way to pay for them. Would you support a midnight levy for Auckland?
Yes.
Why doesn't ACT...
Lol, you should listen to more Shawbrook. She was talking about... Yeah, fair. Like, as I said, like, people on the left block aren't retarded. That's like the big thing. But like Kwele Wong, whenever I've heard her talk, like I literally never disagreed with her. Like she's very economically responsible. She understands that capital markets need to be respected. She understands we need to actually fund stuff more when it comes to R&D, public infrastructure, and she understands we also have to like shift our tax policy. As I said, like my problem with the Green Party has nothing actually to do. It's like I pretty much like 70% agree with the Green Party. My biggest problems is A, their rhetoric, B, their approach to wealth tax. Like for example, Kwele Wong, her wealth taxes are mostly to do with land taxes and to do with what's the other one? I think she's pro inheritance tax too. Those are the two big ones, and like that's the ones I'm willing to support because they just make the most sense because it's the after effects, not during. But yeah, like I'm not like a big hater of Greens or whatever. It's just more like there's very key things that just get me to feel a bit off about them.
Do that.
I don't know. Maybe because it's the people in their key electorate don't like the idea. I'm not sure. Why do you think?
Oh, I think they don't support that because they're basically stupid. I can't think of another reason, really. I mean, the hoteliers want it, or hoteliers want it because they say, oh, cost of living, oh, it's another tax. It's not a tax. Taxes you can't avoid. Midnight levies you can easily avoid. Just don't stay in a hotel.
Yeah, I like that
and
framing.
people who come to Auckland pay for it.
Yeah.
The rest of us were already here.
Yeah.
But nevertheless,
that's what a big grown-up world-class city needs to do, isn't it?
Even dumb shitties and horrible in Congo charge that. So paying for the future. We've got bills coming for transport, water, renewable.
Yeah, there's a couple things in our land tax I'm a bit iffy on, but that's half living through a key government and family have to spend half their life. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like as I said, like for me, Kwai Wong, she's the Green Party without the baggage of like the like the very like rad lefty kind of lean. That's what I mean. Like for me, Top and Labour are a very good direction for the country to go in. I've been wondering when the whole policies are coming out. Yeah, no word yet. No, there's no word yet. But like, I think it's more to do. It'll come near election time, so their polling numbers will skyrocket. Because obviously, if they release something now, if they're not a major party or someone who's already entrenched, like their interest will disappear very fast.
Growth, resilience, blah blah blah. More taxes going to superannuation. Everyone promises infrastructure. How will your party pay for Auckland's future without racking up the bill for the next generation? And say something about superannuation, please.
Yeah, well, there's a lot here. Our party has always been passionate about tax reform. And
yeah, for me, I lean more green because they give more visible timelines of when they're putting out. You know what? That's fair enough. I can't even blame you for that. That's a fair enough position to take. But yeah, like for me, I'm a big parliamentary pragmatist. I feel like a big tent left party like Labour needs to be supported, needs to have a lot of seats in Parliament. But yeah, I don't like you and me tend not to. From what I've seen, we don't really disagree that much. It's just like how we feel, prospectively, how income should be generated and how we should be targeting these things. So like, I completely understand your point in that regard. But yeah, for me, I just need a very strong centre-left, like liberal bloc. That's how I feel.
So there's sort of three parts to that. Firstly is the citizens' incomes, putting more money into people's pockets and letting them take home more of their hard-earned money.
Yeah. Actually, I should have asked you, what electorate are you in? Because that would actually contextualise your politics quite a bit for me.
There's a land tax, which I think will help to grow productivity in places like Auckland, increase intensification. And
what
then
do you
the
think
third
rates
part,
are?
Yeah, we have rates, but that pays for a certain part.
I'm in Megan Woods. I'm in Megan Woods 1. Down in Christchurch. Oh, so you're in South Island. Okay, got you. Oh, that's fair enough then. If you were in North Island, I would have convinced you more to do a Labour vote. But yeah, no, like, yeah, I would say go for it. Because from what I understand, Christchurch has got a very big, strong, like, Labour stronghold. So, like, I think voicing your concerns, because, like, if Green votes do go up in the South Island, it'll show the Labour Party they need to shift a lot of their policy direction. So I actually do respect that quite a bit more. Because over here in the North Island, like, a lot of our shit's very competitive. So I would have told you, like, look, I understand you might have a position in Greens, but we need to support Labour in any regard. But like, if you're on the South Island where like Labour has a big chokehold on Christchurch, I'm fine with you voicing your concerns about Labour's lack of responsiveness to left-leaning policy. That's fine. I'm okay with it now.
But they're a land tax.
Yeah, but I think we don't have a full land tax across, all property in terms of, a significant percentage of the value of that land that we're proposing.
Why don't people do that as death duties? Because
I love Megan Woods. She helped me personally with a tax thing. The minute her office asked IRD, finally paid out lol. And yeah, we're Labour for sure. So yeah, so that's what I said. Like, look, as I said, I'm a parliamentary pragmatist. So like, if like we have a very competitive race, and like between, and like for example, it's like National would like say 40%, Labour with 40%, and the Greens are there also, I would heavily disincentivize any Green voter for voting Greens, because every vote needs to go to Labour at that point. But Christchurch is a very strong Labour stronghold, so I'm fine with you voicing your concerns, because it also then helps the Labour Party, because like remember, polling and this kind of data is collected. So like if there's a lot of Green voters out there, Greens are like, they're usually split into three camps. You've got people who are just kind of like starting to lose faith in Labour because they didn't think their policies were like progressive enough, so they've gone to Greens. People who are just very environmentally conscious, and people who like are very like radically left, or like leaning more to that direction, are kind of like culturally Green voters. So like that's usually where they go. So like most people who vote for Greens are going to be like left leaning or Labour supporters. So if you were in a very competitive race, I would have tried to convince you more. But as I said, you should voice your concerns if you don't think Labour's meeting your standards. As I said, it's not a competitive race, so I don't care.
Then it goes to somebody else who's never earned it. So take it then. But people who've got land because they've saved hard to get land, they won't want to pay that. I'll be one of them.
But they'll also be receiving a citizen's income, so it is a bit of a tax switch. So you'll
Citizens
you'll
is
receive.
kind of like idiots get the same amount or something or other. Is that what a citizen's income? Sorry
It's
for not knowing.
No, that's all right. It is like a universal basic income, so it means it gives a better social safety floor to those people that need support. Also, with increased joblessness around AI, it means that we actually have a way to support that our current welfare system can't. But back to the superannuation, we've also got a compulsory KiwiSaver scheme that we've proposed, and getting to the point where
Megan Woods is running for the list-only election. They've got a new candidate in that election. Oh shit, really? Who's the new candidate? If it was viable, I'd probably vote Alliance. Oh. Okay. You should have dropped that piece of lore earlier in the conversation. That contextualizes a lot of shit you said so far. Okay. Yeah, like, I'm a big anti-socialist guy. I think it's stupid. But, you know, we live in a democracy. You should be able to voice your concerns and whatever you feel like is contextual to your life and how you've lived. But as I said, for me, like, practically speaking, like, labor is the only way to solve the issues of the lowest strata, you know, the working class. Yeah, that's just the best way I can put it.
everybody has enough.
Can't remember his name, but I think his last name started with a Y. So, who was this again? Megan was replaced Megan Woods. Oh yeah, you're right. It's Dominique Janzik. So Dominique Janzik is going for it. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's Yanni. Dominique Janzik.
Or much more significant personal savings by the time they retire, and then superannuation we might be able to means test in the future.
Okay, haven't heard of her before. No, I think Dominique Janzik is a man. Bring that up again. Maybe I'm just tweaking. He seems to be a dude. Yeah, he's a full-blown guy. It would have been a coup if they got Yanni. I think he's a man. He's a young guy. Yeah, he's a young guy from what I saw in the Google search. Yeah, because yeah, that makes sense.
Because of that.
God, you're going to be having more and more unappealing as you go. Why don't you just put the age up?
I think that the
That's the
challenge,
obvious thing to do,
the
'cause,
challenge around that is that there's more inequity in people that retire at different ages, who have done more demanding jobs, different ethnicities, have different life expectancies. So increasing
they're all going up. And the whole thing about that, the problem with it is that at the moment, because you fix the age, the people who are receiving are growing in number and the people who are contributing are reducing in number. But if you move the thing up, you can say exactly the same percentage the whole way through. And if people are going to live longer,
But then surely that's going to slow down. We can't keep increasing it by 2 years every couple of years.
Well, yep, we die earlier, so we just don't. Yeah, like as I said, there's two solutions. Like Wayne Brown is technically right. Like one of the solutions to fix our super problem is to increase the age, but the other solution is to just put more money into KiwiSaver, period. And the best way to do this systemically is increasing the legal contribution that employers need to match. So I think currently the national government reactively, because they're scared of their polling numbers, put out a policy where it's like they've made it so that by 2032, 6% is going to become the legal amount, which I think is pretty good from the 3.5% we're already currently at. It's a good policy, but it wasn't part of the policy platform. They just did it because they were scared about their polling numbers.
well, if they suddenly stop growing older, but people are growing older. I mean, a lot of people are working well past 65.
Yeah, I hope I will
I've tried retiring. It's as boring as anything. But, and old people are quite capable of changing and doing something else. The idea, I've worked hard all my life.
Yeah.
get over yourself.
Absolutely. My mum's 74 and she's only just retired, and I think she'd probably happily keep
Put her out to
working.
work again. She's got 6 years to go.
Well, she's helping me get elected this year, so that's she's going to be looking.
Oh fuck. I actually think KiwiSaver will likely become the biggest failed policy in our history, just judging from how many people I know that had to get theirs out already. As in people pulling the funds out of the KiwiSaver. Is that what you're saying?
After the kids.
Paying her?
Maybe a few free meals here and there.
Oh. Since Trump discovered the Straits of Hormuz, we've had plenty of reminders about energy resilience. What do you got about energy resilience, keeping the lights on, all that stuff?
We've got a very good policy around energy. We want to incentivise more generation and renewables, where we would introduce a capacity investment scheme, which is what Australia has. So the government would guarantee a set price for new generation, which will create more competition in the market, more renewable generation to come online. And then at the other end of that, we propose...
Like one person I know got theirs out 3 times so far, once for their house, one for repairs and insurance, and once for hardship. Most either go hardship or the house. I don't think, don't get me wrong, that's still fucked. I should make that very clear. I don't think KiwiSaver will be a necessarily failed policy. Obviously, when KiwiSaver was supposed to be passed during Helen Clark, we were supposed to get basically what the Aussies had, but we got a watered down version because National had a very strong opposition at the time. Remember, it's a collective thing, but no one wants to leave their house when they get older. My parents certainly didn't want to. Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, like, it's not gonna be a failed policy. What needs to, just as I said, what really needs to happen, because if you look at it, the legal contribution rate, the matching rate is 3.5% currently. 67% of Kiwis match up to the employer's rate. They don't do past that. So if you just make it so that, obviously now it's going to be 6% in 2032. If you increase the legal matching, because it's free money for the employee. Just from the statistics, you can tell people are exactly going to 3.5%. So if you increase the legal number, people will hopefully put more, whatever. But if it truly is like 30% of Kiwis are doing it, then it's a different story. Lol, I have to remember to do all the paperwork to oppose that. Yeah. I'm cracking it early, so I won't get to touch most of mine. Yeah. Yeah, like, what you should be doing, just leave your KiwiSaver alone. Like, I know it sucks, and it's like you're looking at a lot of money, but for your own benefit, you need to, like, not touch that thing.
Fencing the Crown dividends.
So what's the problem that's preventing more investment in renewables?
Well, I think more investment full stop. The problem is that we have this just-in-time model where the generators don't want to overbuild initially because they won't get the payback for it.
But like, this is true, by the way. One of the things I've advocated for a lot is kind of lucrative loans that the government kind of forces on energy companies, saying, hey, we foresee that the grids are going to be under stress for like next year, so we don't give a fuck. Expand the power grid. Here's a loan. You basically have to pay like dog shit interest, all right? And you can pay us back as you make profits from that energy. Because the biggest problem with energy is that, obviously, as demand increases and supply goes down, profits go up. And the problem with energy is that it's so fucking expensive to expand the bloody thing that there's no real incentive for these energy companies to do it. So the government needs to come in and, like, force funding in a way to get them to expand the grids.
The problem is the lines companies.
They are part of the problem as well.
They are a series of monopolies who are behaving like a series.
I've already cracked mine. No point in having one when you've only got a few years left. Yeah, most people I've known have either cracked theirs themselves for houses, or like the KiwiSaver and the forced saving you're made to do by the government is the best thing we've done as in economic policy in the last 20 years. Like, you should not touch your KiwiSaver. It's a good thing you're doing, honestly, because it is one of the best things that could happen to you.
The monopolies. That's the problem, mate, because you put up your bloody thing there, and then they charge you shitloads to get onto the system.
Yeah. No, and we've got those network reform as part of our policy as well.
Okay. Final Auckland one. Auckland has had plenty of problems in the election year. What is the one thing Aucklanders would notice within 3 years if your party has influence after the election?
The one thing that I would like to see, and I would like to make a legacy, is more community spaces that make people less afraid of intensification. Having lived in London, I think I lived in a small place, but getting out and about was just normal. There were so many services on offer because of the dense population and because, we had to provide those great spaces.
Well, that's interesting. So
I think the kids' bank accounts was a bit better, but that's probably rose-colored glasses. Yeah, probably. I couldn't comment on that too much too either. But yeah. But yeah, as I said, like the biggest thing really is just like matching, getting the employer matching to go up, because like the statistics show that people mostly match the employer stuff.
You would have seen the nauseous debate that I had to go through 2 or 3 days ago here.
Yes.
And we had A, which is for people who don't want anything to change, B, you want a bit more, and C and D. Where were you on A, B, C and D there?
Yeah, I liked your idea of going for C.
Yeah. Well, it went to C, SEA, but at least I might have rescued B with a bit of luck.
Yeah.
But there you go, C, MPAS. Quick answers, rapid fire.
Okay.
Last time you used a hop card?
Last week on the train with my daughter.
Okay, yesterday for me on the bus home to Ponsonby.
Actually, I use my PayWave. I don't use Hopcard anymore.
Oh, well, that's all right, though.
Yeah,
Get on
very
the bus.
convenient.
Okay. Bus, train, ferry, bike, walk or car?
Did you say bike? Bike
Yeah.
would be my preference.
Did you bike here?
I didn't bike here. I actually brought our campaign van, but I used to bike into the city every day when I worked in
Okay, where do you live?
Mount Albert.
Oh, I never heard of it. Yes, I have.
Very important electorate.
Dear. Apartment, townhouse or villa?
Oh, we live in a villa, but I'm not opposed
You're one of
to
these
townhouses or
bloody
apartments.
leafy suburb troublemaking Mrs. Fletchers, are you?
Yeah, we totally were sucked in by the thing that everyone does and has to buy a big house with a big backyard that we actually never use, and it's just sitting there. So we probably would have been better off buying a townhouse.
I live in an apartment because I don't like mowing lawns.
Yeah.
EV, hybrid or petrol?
EV.
What do you got?
A Tesla. Bought before Elon Musk
Before
and Trump.
before BYDs became cheaper
yeah,
and better.
Yeah.
I got a BYD.
Yeah.
Name an Auckland volcano that is not Rangitoto or Mount Eden.
Mount Albert or Raka.
Mount
Live
Albert.
on the side of it.
Very quick. Look at that. Not only get one straight away, but you got its Maori name. A piece of Auckland infrastructure besides a stadium that makes you proud.
Infrastructure that makes me proud.
Well, I had to qualify that before the Nazi started talking. Yeah, sure. I was gonna say, it's just funny because she like whispered it like, oh, before Elon Musk and Trump. That was just the funniest shit.
I mean, I really like, is it infrastructure, Wynyard Quarter?
Yes, it's sort of infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's not a bad answer. I'll buy that. Yeah.
I've worked in multiple different buildings around there over many courses of years and seeing it develop.
Yeah, I take that. That's very good. Good answer. I've had Sky Tower. It's not a bad one straight out the window. I like Harbour Bridge. It's very
beautiful.
clever.
Yes, I went under that in an electric boat this morning. It was very cool. You should get out. Have you been on the Naut boat?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
If you could take a sledgehammer to one building in the city, which is it going to be?
Oh, my gosh.
One building or anything?
One building in the city? I don't know.
In the big city, it could be something in Pukekohe if you can't think of anything here. Not that I dislike Pukekohe.
I mean, I don't love the malls that much because when you're inside, there's no natural light. The older malls. I live by St Luke's, so it's... Yeah, just I don't like the lack of natural light.
It's not bad.
But it's a great place for the community, so it's...
If you pull that down, there's a lot of people in, you have to get them out first.
Yeah.
I'd pull down St James. A shitty old thing that someone's wasting some money on at the moment. Or better still, there's a police station around the corner that they've vacated.
Okay.
And they're still not paying rates on either. There you go. What's our biggest problem in one word?
I'm trying to think of one word way to say it, but lack of ambition. So it's 3 words, I'm sorry.
Not a bad effort, but traffic is probably a reasonably winning answer, but there are others. Could be racism or food or something or other, I don't know. Our biggest opportunity?
Our biggest opportunity is setting a more ambitious vision for Auckland and for New Zealand and getting behind that together as a country rather than... I should have said division is my one word for what's our biggest
Division, that's not bad. Yeah, we'll back up and allow that to go, and there's the answer for that one there for that. But we won't adjust the.
Won't
This is
adjust
going
my
out
score.
as it is, but we'll allow you to go back and have. Division's not a bad idea, I suppose. Really, it is. It's certainly. It is a feature of my council. And the inability to actually do division as well, another feature.
Yeah.
Because people don't do division. I do division. For instance, we have to pay $68 million to the Kiwi Rail for track access.
Yeah.
Which works out, if I do division. I divide how many people are going to catch the bloody thing. Works out at $7 per passenger per shot.
Yeah.
Just to pay for the track before you even buy them. Bloody train and put a driver in. So it's amazing if you do division what you'll learn. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, that was the leader of, do you call yourself top or
The Opportunity Party.
the
or just Opportunity.
Opportunity Party, okay. The Opportunity Party, her name is Kule Wong. So thank you very much for coming in. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
All
Lovely
the
to
best.
meet you. Good.
She didn't get called good girl. Wayne Brown didn't little bro her, or little sis her. But that was good. I actually like the series quite a bit. The series of interviews he's doing. Some very good shit. But yeah, I've got a lot of shit to do tomorrow. I mostly just did this because I streamed late because I had some like family dinner stuff to do. Modi, very good having you in chat. Hope you drop me a follow because I stream every day. It's nice to have another fucking Kiwi in chat because I'm getting too many fucking Europeans and Americans. And obviously they don't give a fuck about New Zealand politics, so it's like whatever. Simon, it's been great having you as usual. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Boom.